Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's your girl, Stephanie. And today on Movie Review, we will be reviewing, another old movie. Not that old, like a year or two ago. You might remember it, but by the time we're done, you would love it. For those who haven't watched this movie, you need to see this one. The name? Descendants of the Sun. Country? Korea. The Republic of Korea. South Korea for short. I know, another Korean drama, but this one is worth the review. Stay tuned for more on this one. You're welcome. Hey, my loves. How has your week been? I hope you have been amazing wherever you're tuning in from. Welcome. Today we will be focusing on Descendants of the Sun. For this movie, we have two people who played the lead male and the lead female. Now I have to say that right after filming this movie, the lead male and the lead female got married in real life. That is how iconic this movie is. It brought two lovebirds together. Well, the sad part of this story is they got divorced 2 years after, but we will focus today on the power at work in Descendants of the Sun. It's a TV series for those who do not know. For South Korea, they do both films and TV series, but this one is a TV series. And it has 16 episodes of an hour each. Yes, it means 16 hours of juiciness. Yes. Okay, so this movie, for the male lead, he is a South Korean army soldier. Now, his job in the army is he's a special forces captain. Okay, follow me, very interesting. And for the female lead rather, she is a medical doctor in one of the leading medical facilities in the country, one of the leading hospitals in the country being South Korea. Now, how do these two people meet? A South Korean army captain and a medical doctor. How else? An injury? No, you guessed wrong. So this movie opens with, he and his second lead. Now the second lead as well is an army captain. He's not the captain, he's more like the lieutenant in the army. He's the second in command in the special forces team. So he's the right-hand man of our lead male. Okay, follow me, very interesting, guys. And so for the female second lead, she also happens to be a doctor, but this time she's an army doctor. She works in the army as a doctor, right? Okay, so for this first couple, okay, how do they meet? Male lead, assistant male, find a way, just a wonderful magical way, and end up in the hospital. What is this magical way? They catch somebody who is in the process of stealing, right? They were able to stop him on the way, and in the process of stopping him, he sprays his ankle. Whilst trying to get him ready first aid style, for those in Nigeria, we don't understand this one. But for those abroad, they are trained to understand first aid and how to apply first aid and how to prepare somebody for a medical, transportation to a hospital. So that is what the male lead and the second male are doing. Whilst they are doing this, full-on involved, full-on distracted, this thief steals the phone of the second lead. Now, upon searching for his phone some time later, he realizes that, hold up, this guy that we're actually trying to help stole my phone. So they find their way to the nearest hospital where he would have been taken. And they have to search this entire hospital. I'm telling you, this is a big hospital. They have to search the entire hospital for this guy. Oh, my goodness. But you know what? They find him. They find him, and in finding him, they find our female lead. Now, I tell you, love at first sight is real. Oh my goodness. Upon sighting her, our male lead falls absolutely in love with her. She's still full on in medical doctor mode, but he's gone in the brain, y'all. He's gone in the brain. And so, one thing leads to another, and they end up spending a bit longer together that day. He makes an impression on her. She's made all the impressions on him. And he had already sustained an injury beforehand. He uses that as an inlet to always come back to see her. Oh, I need medical attention. Will you be my doctor? You know what? I'll slot you for 2 p.m. Come through. That is how they make an appointment. Can you believe that? So, upon coming back, his job keeps interfering with her job. He comes back the first time for their first meetup, and she's in surgery. Unexpected, unplanned for. Patient came in bleeding, and she can't even see that he's there. She has to rush in for the surgery. Second time they have to meet up again on the very same day, his job calls. Peacekeepers have been kidnapped in Afghanistan, and he has to go because special forces are in charge of these kind of deliveries. Their job is to deliver people from sticky situations without getting them hurt. And he's the captain. They meet up at the hangar on the roof where they make an appointment for another date. She's looking on as he's jetting off in a helicopter, wondering what kind of job in the army does this guy have? That an entire helicopter is sent in to pick him up. Unknown to her, he's a special forces captain. Of course, this job comes with a lot of discretion, meaning I can't tell you what I do. I can't specify the thing that I do. I cannot tell you about my missions. You pretty much do not know anything. I could be gone for months on end on special missions, and the only time you know I'm alive is when I'm with you. That is what his job entails. These she's yet to find out, and boy, when she does, it is a hard pill to swallow. For those who do not know this movie, this is Descendants of the Sun, the movie review for Descendants of the Sun. It's a South Korean TV series with 16 episodes, and we are just getting started describing episode 1. Episode 2, he's back, they try to meet up again, and she comes to terms with the fact that she really cannot deal with having a boyfriend. She doesn't know what he does for a living. She can't say the details. She can't visit him at home. He can't come back from work and tell her, oh, this is what happened at work. She comes to terms with the fact that she can't deal with that. While she's coming to that terms at her own job, the pillars she thought she had built around, she was supposed to be director, she was supposed to be chief surgeon, and via politics at the hospital, this position is usurped from her. So she's feeling down both at work and down in her love life. She cuts off from the love life situation, breaks up with him even before they can go on a proper date. Okay, this is by episode 2, episode 3. And a new outlet opens up for her at work. She's now the TV personality for the hospital's medical show. So she is a medical celebrity, a doctor celebrity, if you might. But what does that mean? She doesn't get to operate on people anymore. She doesn't get to be an actual doctor anymore. All she has to do now is talk about being a doctor, talk about medical stuff, tell patients what they can do on their own before getting to a hospital. What are the first aid treatments? What can you do at home? This is what our female lead is up to right now. You're wondering what happened to our second male and our second female. They are in a turbulent relationship. Both army people, so obviously you know what that comes with, a lot of stiffness. This is the reason behind the stiffness, you guys. So second female, her dad is the captain, the chief commander of the special forces, meaning he's literally the boss of both she and her man. Okay? And this man, if you know the Korean system at all, power is important. Once you're going out of power, you have to be able to secure power for your generations to come. You have to be able to secure power for your descendants. That way they are not used as a scapegoats by enemies of you. What does he want to do? He wants his daughter marrying a captain. It's way more secure than marrying a lieutenant. So what does that mean? He doesn't accept of the relationship between our second male and his daughter, our second female. And our second male, being an army man, being a man of honor, absolutely honors her father. He would not have anything to do with her until the father accepts their relationship. The father on his own end uses his power whilst he's still in the army to keep sending them to totally different locations. Whenever they try to meet up, he separates them again via different transfers. This is the journey. I'm telling you, they go on this journey for a long time. So when you don't see me describing them, talking about what's happening with them, they're still on this journey. But make no mistake, they get through to the end by the end of the TV series, but it's a long way out. So guys, that is what our second male and our second female are on. They're on an off and on relationship, a really complex and complicated relationship. I would say to an extent complicated by the fact that they are both in the army. If one person was not in the army, it probably wouldn't have been as hard and as complicated as it was. But by the reason of their job and the training that comes with their job, they both process things emotionally in a very complex and complicated manner, and that made the entire relationship seem like rocket science. So back to our male lead and our female lead, because what else do we say about our seconds? They are on their journey. We'll catch them up. Back to our female lead and our male lead. Okay, so it's been months since they've seen each other. They broke up, the man has finished with his mission. He's been taken off to peacekeeping in some country they had to create literally because it didn't exist, but based on behind the scenes footages, we are clear to know that where this was filmed was in the island of Malta, but it was claimed to be a country named Uruk. But as you know, there is no country in the world named Uruk. This was done in Malta, but on a new landscape, on a bright, fair landscape, fresh landscape. There was not much people to the movie, which also helped to sell the idea of it being a new country. They were trying to make it seem like it was a country coming out of war, so they were going there for peacekeeping missions, to help keep the peace, to help integrate the people from war times back to civilian and democratic times. That was the country our male lead, and of course our second male was sent to for peacekeeping missions. Now this is a full 8 months after breaking up with our female lead, okay? So they haven't seen each other that long. And then the hospital our female lead is at are sending, medical supplies to the army, because as you know, many top corporations in the world help the countries by servicing the armies, right? The army gets a lot of supplies. It's part of their what's the word I'm looking for here? Their goodwill, towards the country, towards the people, by helping the army in any form or manner they need help. Many of the times it means sending out products that they have, to the army free of charge, of course, to encourage them to keep their spirits up. And so that is what this hospital, which is a top hospital in the country at the time with this film, they were doing. They were setting up a medical camp with the army that are doing peacekeeping works in this new country named Uruk, okay? And so to lead this, team from the hospital is our female lead. Are you following this story? It's such a brilliant story. How they mash things up, how they bring people that really have no business meeting each other. How they always make it a date to make it so natural the means, the method in which they obviously have to meet. They make it almost seem destined to happen. This, my dear, is what good storytelling and good script writing is about. And this movie has that in full. Okay, so follow me. So she's sent in as the lead. I would not even describe how she got about that role. You would have to watch this film to see that. It's a juicy one, I promise. For those who have watched it, let's share the secret smile. Okay, back to the story. So, she and some doctors and nurses are sent by the hospital to help peacekeepers in Europe. And for those who have not been following the story, our male lead is the head captain of this peacekeeping soldier team. She is sent as the medical lead of the, medical team. Do we understand this connection? He sees her name on the list of medical team people coming in, and so he braces himself to meet her. She, on the other hand, doesn't know she's about to meet him. Imagine the shock on her face when she sees him at the airport. I know, breathtaking, her lips parted, looking at him like, I missed that face. I wish. I wish. Have I tantalized and tempted you enough to go watch this movie, Descendants of the Sun? I hope I'm doing my job. And so they meet again at the airport while the peacekeeping team comes to pick them up, and explains to them, camp rules and all of that stuff. It's mostly eyes, my dear, mostly stares, no words, but the eyes speak a different language, you guys. Peep the photos as I describe this story. They are literally photos of those very moments. For those who have heard this film, I hope this is a reminiscent moment for you. For those who haven't, temptation. Go watch Descendants of the Sun, guys. And so they meet again at the airport, like I was saying. No words exchanged, but a lot of looks exchanged, and those looks speak volume. Hello. And so from the airport, of course, they all move on to the camp where the medical people will be staying along with the soldiers. She really doesn't make any move to go see him. He is the one who makes the move to actually go see her, go speak to her. And he tries a lame joke just to crack her up. But it ends up having the opposite reaction for her. She's crying, she's telling him to stay away from her, and he's feeling lame. But that opens up everything. He's able to talk to her on a free level now. Now there's no animosity built. Now the walls are down. Now they can talk to each other like they actually know each other, like they've met before. And so on that note, I guess his lame joke worked. You want to know the lame joke? Watch Descendants of the Sun. I am not giving you this tip for free. And so, love starts brewing. There's sparks here and there to prove that, they're still into each other. 8 months gone, but love don't count no time. Love knows no time, you guys. And it proves so in this movie. And one thing I think I love about this film is that love has no ego with this film. There are so many times what she did would have provoked ego from the guy, but you still see humility with him. You still see him pretty much being a normal, mature person. There was a lot of maturity, a lot of communication. As much as it's with a soldier, there was still so much communication that you could tell where everybody stood in the relationship. Just the details of, okay, this is exactly what I did today. We're not there because he's a soldier and that comes with the job. But not to the point where she would not know that he had gone on a mission. He would always make it clear he was going on a mission. He would always make it clear from his body language that this was a serious mission. This is not something to joke about. There might be murders done here. And one other thing that really made this such a very uncanny coming together is doctors are sworn to save lives, even the lives of enemies. Army people are sworn to kill for peace. So just the combination of the love coming together of those two people at just such far abstract, opposite directions, and how love brought them together and helped them to both interact well and respect each other's job is so fascinating. There were episodes in there where the man had to stand up for her in her job and let her do her job. There was a time where she had to save an enemy, and she was hesitant to do it because she had come to understand what it means when this is an enemy, and she hated the fact that she had taken that oath, the oath that doctors take. And she was going to stand against her oath, but he stood for her in her job. He respected her job and was like, you know what? When it's time to kill, I will do the killing. When it's time to save a life, enemy or not, you do your job. I will do my job. There was even a specific place where he said these very words. You all need to watch these to get it, okay? There was a point at which her life was in danger. An Arab elite was coming in, and there was so much protocol with his own security team. They would not have any other doctor operate on him except an Arab doctor. His doctor was nowhere to be found. The doctor was still, being helicoptered in, and he was dying. She had to step in and be like, we have to save this life or else he's gone. And the bodyguards and security of the Arab elite were about to kill them, and he stood up for her. He and his entire team, he locked out his superior, which, if you know the army, is heresy. He locked out his superior, stood for her, and almost lost his job. There were times in this movie where this happened. You have to watch this film to get it. I'm not going to give you the entire thing. Go do your homework. You know the drill. I'm giving you a review. I am not posting the entire movie out here for you. It's 16 episodes, 16 hours. How can I do 16 hours in this short a period of time? You have to watch this movie. Come in the comment section and talk to me about it. Let's interact. What do you think about this film? What episode is your best episode? What scene is your best scene? Who's your best character in the entire movie? And something that we'll do on this channel, how would you have rather it ended? Movie script writers, write from their heart, and we love them for how they write. But if there's one thing we do know from movies like Game of Thrones, people who watch these films also develop a heart for this film. They develop emotions, they develop heartstrings. They're attached to these films as well. They feel a connection to these films, and there is a desire and expectation they have, and they can be very vocal about expressing their disappointments if those expectations are not met. From movies like Game of Thrones, we know that even the actors were almost in danger. If not, they were in more mature countries. Their lives would probably have been in danger. For people like Kate Harington that played Jon Snow, people hated him for a long period of time because he ended up killing Khaleesi. So we see that with the audience, they also develop their own mentality of how this script should go. They feel entitled to being able to tell the story. So we'd like to express and to give room to that expression here on this page. So for those who have watched it, for those who are going to be tempted enough to go off and watch it, you're welcome in advance. Come on here in the comment section and let us know what you think about this movie. Post what you think about it, and let's talk. Let's just hang out. Let's talk about Descendants of the Sun from South Korea in the comment section. I will try to reply as many as I can. And like this video if you really loved this review of the movie, and subscribe if you've not subscribed to the channel yet. Turn on the post notifications, the bell icon as well, that way you'll be notified when we post new reviews and other type of videos we'll be doing on this channel. For those who do not know, I'm Stephanie by name. I reside in Abuja, Nigeria, and I just started this channel. I hope you love, I hope you support your girl, and okay, so love is blossoming. There's sparks here and there, but she's still having so much doubts because of her job and his job, and just the danger of this man dying. This is literally a man who is 2 seconds from dying. He could go on a mission and not come back. She had that in her mind all through the film, and she kept letting him know that, I really like you, but this is the thing that is stopping me from saying yes to you. You could die any minute. I do not want to be with a liability. I want to be with somebody that his life to some extent is secure. At least his job won't kill him. And he kept making it clear to her that he's also good at staying safe. He's also good at staying alive. But I mean, your comrades are dying left, right, and center. You know, there was a time she followed him to a funeral of somebody he had gone on a mission with. And so it also brought the message even clearer to she and he that this man could die any minute. His job doesn't secure his life. If anything, his job trades his life for the mission. Whether it gets done or it doesn't get done, doesn't matter. This man could die any minute. And something she will later get to figure out is when he dies, you have to sign an NDA saying you never knew him, you didn't know how he died, and he died on a different mission. He died on some kind of road trip, not on the actual mission. You have to sign away the authenticity of this man, literally. That is part of his job. This is something she will get to know later on when a mock death sort of happens. I guess I spilled that. Oops. For those who haven't watched it, there was a period in time in the movie when it seemed like he had died for a full 1 year. He was dead for a year and then he came back. Movies, don't we love them? So for 1 year she had to cope and be and believe that he was dead, you know. And with the army, another thing is with every mission they go on, they have to write a letter to their loved ones as if they were dead, you know, as if they didn't make it back. It's the letter that is presented to their loved ones if on occasion when they don't make it back, sort of like a last word, sort of like a last will, you know. So when she got that letter that he wrote her from the mission and everything, she, you know, I think I'm jumping this movie. Let's keep it back. Let's skip all the way back, guys. I'm really into this one, guys. Forgive me. Okay, so back at Uruk, there, you know, sparks here and there. You know, she keeps getting to figure out who he is, a man of character, a leader, you know, and he also gets to see her in action, like a leader with her own team, very capable, very good at what she does. She's a surgeon, she's a doctor, she's good at that, you know, and they get to figure each other outside their jobs too, their characters outside their jobs, you know. They get to play, and for a period of time, he didn't make any advances at her. That is one thing I love also about this love story. It wasn't just every single moment he saw her, I love you, marry me, date me. No. There was a period in time where they were actually friends. He accepted her rejection. She rejected him a lot of times, by the way. And then he would drop it and they would just talk like normal people, like normal friends. There would be no pressure on the girl, you know, to answer him, or he would start behaving differently. He didn't snub her any day at all. He would still answer her anything she had to say, you know, any help she still needed, he will render it, even though she had just rejected him. You know, it's a very mature movie. For those who are not mature, you might find it offensive, you might not understand it, but I hope it's a challenge to you to mature yourself, especially in your emotions. This is a movie about an emotionally mature man and an emotionally mature woman. And the second lead, the second male and the second female don't follow too far behind. They were full-on mature. And also, if you know anything about Korean movies, sexual purity is also explicitly clear in this movie. They never hooked up at all throughout the film. There was some kissing here and there, some hugging, so those who are into that, you get some of those. But of course, with Korean movies, you don't get the full drill. They will leave you wanting some more if you're into that kind of thing, but they'll let you know at least that they love each other. You know, like, for those who watched this movie, The First Kiss, I'm inside the picture. You're welcome. For those who did not, go watch the movie. Okay, so yeah, really, how am I gonna end this review? Because we've gone 28 minutes into this review, you guys. How am I gonna end this? There was a lot. A natural disaster happened that separated them. They had to, you know, come back together, work together through that, and they were not dating at the time. He almost, you know, died in the collapsed building, and we saw her reaction to that. She just kept being propped to accept him. Moments where it seemed like he was about to go, she would then full on realize that, hold up, I really like this guy, I can't have him go. You know, but then again, looking at him and knowing that any moment now he could not be here anymore, and having to commit her heart to something that seemed so fleeting was a huge tug of war for her. You see, for those who haven't watched the film, you see her really wrestle with the fact that she really liked this guy, and yet because of his job she just couldn't accept it. And at some point, for the jovial guy he is, you see a point where it also breaks him down to a point where it's like, damn, what is it that is so bad about my job that is stopping my love life? He even goes on to ask the female second lead, like, do you ever bother about your man's job? Does it ever make you think twice about your relationship? Does it ever make you second guess anything? Are you ever sad because of it? They both, but the two people in the relationship, the male lead and the female lead, do go to this female second lead to ask questions because she seemed like the right person to ask. And she really points them in the right direction. And honestly, it's at the point where she advises them that they break even. It's with that advice that the female lead understands what the purpose is, understands what it's about when you're dating a soldier. For those who have never been with a soldier, have always wondered how soldiers are even able to marry, how the families of soldiers are able to cope. I think what she said really gives us a window into what gives those women and men and children the audacity to be with such people. It's about the moments you're with them. It's not really about where they're at. It's about when he's here right now, what are we? Those moments you have with him, those moments you have with her, they're very precious, they're very crucial, and it's more that than anything else. Whilst we are alive, can we see each other? Can we be in the moment together? And it's just me paraphrasing what she said, but it was a very powerful moment. For those who have watched it, I insert a picture of that moment in here, a clip. No, a picture. I can't insert a clip, guys. So we insert a picture, just reminisce, nostalgia, everybody. Yes, nostalgia season. For those who haven't watched, go watch Descendants of the Sun. Let me just tell you, for those who didn't watch this film, there's a point at which his enemies come for her. So she's kidnapped just to get him. And you have to watch to see how she's rescued. You have to watch. There's a mock pandemic moment. And just to point to the prowess of the script writers, this movie was released even before COVID-19. Just the exactness of how they combated their own, pandemic within the film, almost reminiscent of how the COVID-19 was combated. No contact, everyone stays apart, gloves, face masks, the whole 9 yards, blood work, everyone gets tested, no one makes any contact until you're sure of if you're positive or negative. And let me tell you, one of the two leads, female leads, one of them got infected and almost died. Watch to find out. I'm not telling you that for anything. To those who have watched, let us share the secret smile again. Okay. Enough temptation for y'all to go watch Descendants of the Sun, I hope. Okay, so yes, there's a lot of juice in the film. There's a lot of content, a lot of story. There's no loose moment. There's always something happening, and it always leads up to the main story. It's not detached in any form or manner. Everything pretty much ties up neatly and nicely within this film. And for those who have watched it, you can concur with me that this one was one beautiful piece of work done by amazing scriptwriters, amazing behind-the-scene team, amazing on-screen team, amazing marketing team. This film was marketed all the way to China, was big in China, was big all over the world. Great subtitle team. So let me tell you, foreign films, one thing that kills foreign films is subtitling. And this film, they understood the mission with the subtitling. It helped bring character to the film. We that are not, Koreans and don't speak the language could relate to the story with the same fervency that the Korean speakers could, because the subtitle team did their job. They did their actual job, Great movie for those who watched it. For those who haven't, I promise you would not be wasting your time watching this one. go and watch Descendants of the Sun. And so that brings us to the end of our movie review for today. Hope you enjoyed this episode of our movie review where we focused on Descendants of the Sun, a TV series from South Korea with 16 to 20 episodes, all 1 hour each. And for those who got the original or get the original version of this TV series, you will get 1 episode of a behind the scenes BTS video that shows you the cast talking about the film, some moments whilst filming, some moments in prep for the film, some moments after the reaction of fans for the film. Even the actors, they get, some of them get interviewed some months or I think a year after the film, and you get to see them still talk about it post the movie. So for those who get the original, for those who have watched it and didn't get that, go find it. It's supposed to be episode 17. Okay, it's a behind the scenes, it shows everything. And so yes, you're welcome. Go get this movie wherever you get movies. Google it and you will see it there, and you're welcome. I think we just got you an inch closer to movie knowledge, movie utopia. Yes, you are welcome. For those who are new on the channel, I am Stephanie. I'm based in Abuja, Nigeria, and I post movie reviews and other content. Subscribe, like this video if you really liked it, comment your favorite episode, comment about this episode of this vlog, comment about this the movie, if you've watched it, if you haven't watched it, what's your best character in the film, how would you have rather it ended, if there are parts in the film you do not agree with, let's talk about it in the comment section. I will be trying to reply. I would reply as many as I can in the comment section. Subscribe for those who are not subscribed. Turn on your post notifications and the bell icon as well. That way you get posts, you get notifications for new posts, when we post new ones. And support your girl. Share this to as many as you can. For those who are, anti Korean movies, post this to them. For those who are wondering, what movie do I watch? What movie do I watch? Post this to them. Let them know. Let them get, a little bit of, are you sure? Let this explain to them that yes, we are sure they should watch Descendants of the Sun. Okay, so till we come your way again, please stay blessed, stay safe, and keep glorifying God in everything that you do. Keep doing the right thing, keep honoring yourself, keep honoring humanity, and you are amazing, just so you know. And you are perfect. Perfect is not far away from where you are, baby. You are it, walking and breathing. God bless you. Bye. Hello and welcome to another episode of our movie reviews. I am Stephanie. Well, for our topic today, our movie of review. That's how nervous I am, because this is a very sticky topic, and I'm trying to be as professional as possible. I'm trying not to get my emotions involved. I'm trying not to show how much of an issue this is in our society today. And by our society, I mean every country on the earth, be you from the North American continent to Africa to Europe. This is still a problem across the world, and our movie today addresses that. Welcome. How has your week been? I hope you have been amazing. I hope you've been glorious. I hope you've watched our previous episode. If you haven't, check out our previous video on Descendants of the Sun. Today's movie, How to Love Me. Country, the Federal Republic of Nigeria, where I happen to be from and reside. Our own movie industry is called Nollywood, after the Hollywood moniker. And this movie is a Northside Productions film starring Yvonne Jegede and Ike Ogbonna. Now, I do not know where you get your movies from, but if you are going to be downloading today's movie, I suggest you try ninjarocks.com. 9jarocks.com. That will be 9ja rocks.com, all as one word. www, of course, in front of it, dot 9jarocks.com. That is where I got this film from, and that is where I can promise you would get this movie from. The title, once again, How to Love Me. Now, I feel this movie addresses a topic that is very much an issue in love relationships. How do you teach your partner to love you? How do you coach your partner on the things that make you tickle, make you tick as a person? How do you love your partner? Now, this movie addresses domestic violence in the home of a married couple. Now, Ike Ogbonna plays the husband in this movie, and Yvonne Jegede plays the wife. It's a 3-year-old marriage, so it's really still young. The movie opens with a violent scenario, a violent scene that had just taken place. So we are the aftermath of him beating her up yet again. So there are a lot of POV moments with the camera angles and whatnot. Just be prepared for that if you're going to be venturing into this one. And so she rises up after he's left, and she calls someone on the phone and says she's done, she's leaving. She proceeds to pack her belongings, and just before she's done, she gets another phone call that shows, what the arch of this movie is really going to be centered on. So let's get this straight. This is a 3-year-old marriage. There is no reason for a marriage this young to be having these issues. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. I will be very, very open to your own takes and your own views on this. But he's gotten another woman pregnant. This we learn from the phone call after he's beaten her up. So he's rushing off to go prevent this woman from having an abortion when he has an accident. And of course, his wife being his next of kin, she's the first phone call the hospital makes. Whilst she's packing up to leave the marriage, gets this phone call that her husband is in the hospital. She had just been beaten up by this man. She had wounds, bruises all over her face, all over her body. But she rushes up to the hospital only to learn that he is in a coma and may have suffered amnesia. Wow, what a turn of events. She was about to leave the marriage. What does this mean? What should she do? She proceeds to do the one thing that comes to mind, I guess. She writes an entire diary she is to later present to him as his own, detailing how much in love with her he is. She literally writes him a journal, an instruction booklet on how to love her, how to be in love with her, hence the name or the title, How to Love Me. Well, he wakes up from the coma. He obviously doesn't remember anything. He doesn't even remember she's his wife. She has to tend to him. She decides to stay, for those who are wondering. She decides to stay because to her this is a new opening, a new chance to revive what may be good left in the marriage. So she stays, she tends to him, and he really can't remember anybody, not his wife, not his mistress with the baby, not anyone, not his best friend who we never see throughout the film. This is a low-budget film, for those who are wondering. So the scenes are shot within very limited spaces and very limited locations. It's majorly shot in the house, which I do commend them for. Well shot, but still, if you have an experienced eye with films, you would notice that with this film, they don't really go anywhere. Doesn't stop the story in any way. They still are able to fly as high as they want to with this story. For that, I commend the scriptwriters, I must say. Ninja really try. Back to our story. So she's at home tending to her husband who doesn't remember anybody. And he truly relies on that diary to guide him through because he has no recollection of who he is, of anybody. He keeps relying on the diary, reading it from time to time, and really reading lies because none of those things happened. She was the one who was propagating all that love. He was literally the one, bashing her. And there are so many flashback scenes, and the way this film is shot is really brilliant. It's shot in a before and after sequence, where with every topic that is dealt with, the before of how he behaved before he had the coma is shown, and then how he behaves after the coma is shown, and it's absolutely different. This man is a nicer person whilst in his amnesia state. How can somebody be both nice and bad at once? It's fascinating. Where does the good side of him go when he's in his known and his full self? How come he couldn't be this good to her whilst in the marriage? Why did it take an entire accident, a coma, amnesia to get him to this point of being this good to her? You see her struggle. As much as she orchestrated this entire plan to get him to love her, she is obviously struggling to accept this new him. It's an absolute contrast to who he used to be. He was mean every time, all the time. There's never a scene from the past they show you in the entire movie where he's nice to her. It's from, emotional abuse to verbal abuse to then physical abuse. It's abuses of all kinds. But with his amnesia self, he's nicer, he's more attentive, he's keen and desirous to say the right thing, to be more positive. It's a confusing journey for her. Different topics are spoken about, or at least shown in the film, from how they are sexually. He rapes his wife. How do you rape your pregnant wife? She is your wife, 1, and 2, she's pregnant. It's a wonder what happens in the mind of abusers. But upon showing the after, she is still plagued and traumatized from the last sexual experience she had, from which she lost their child. I know I'm all over the place. Forgive me, guys. I'm trying as much as I can to be professional without showing just how emotional this one was. For those who would be bold enough to venture into watching this, I applaud you and I warn you. The verbal abuses are just, if you are somebody who's not used to an environment like that, it hits you first. Like, how can you talk to an entirely different human being this way? How do you refer to your wife as a pig? How do you refer to an entire other being as irrelevant or as lower than you because she doesn't have, a university education? You knew she didn't have a university education before you married her. How come this is now an issue after the marriage, to the point of inciting fights based on it, including it in your points against her, throwing this knowledge you have about her as an arrow at her every chance you get? Whenever you see she's weak, you throw that right there. You're a school dropout. Oh, please, there are tons of school dropouts that have made it well in life. University education, I have nothing against, but it's not a limitation, it's not a criteria to being successful in life. Well, he is short-sighted. That is my best take on that matter. There are so many scenes in between, that really buttresses a lot that men and women in such situations, in such abusive relationships, go through. And I must applaud the actress Yvonne Jegede. She really portrays this role of an abused wife. People that go through something like this, from this film, it has come to buttress in my mind that they lack a bit of confidence. They walk a little bit with their head hanging low. They're not really confident. They're not really meeting you eye to eye. Their head is all the way down when they walk. They are not confident. They are self-conscious. They are body conscious, because this is the point at which they get all the abuse, their body. It's the vessel through which they are victim to this bully. For the major part of the film, when they're showing, the before periods of the marriage, her head is down. She's not looking up. She's not looking bright. She's not looking confident. She's afraid to even speak to him. She's afraid to express herself. She's not looking confident. She's not looking happy. She's looking dull. But with the after, it's like an entirely different thing. It's a lot of shock for her. Like, many of the scenes, you find her shocked whenever he speaks in his better state, or after state, shall I call it. He's nicer, he's more appreciative, he's calling her beautiful every morning. He's looking at her and smiling, and these are things he never used to do. So whenever she catches him in the process of doing that, she's first of all surprised, taken aback that, wow, he's looking at me and he's not angry. He doesn't look angry. He's smiling at me. You know, as much as she wanted the change, she found the change strange. She found the change uncomfortable. And that tells you just how long and the driving and deep effect verbal and any kind of abuse has on the victim. It takes its toll. That this person begins to feel like they don't even deserve this thing that's good. The good becomes the abnormal to them. What they are used to now is the bad. Anytime somebody does something good for them, they react surprised. They react almost elenehic, like, oh my goodness, how could you even think to consider me worthy of such good? You know, and throughout the film, whenever he behaves well, whenever he shows her good, whenever he's positive towards her, she is first of all surprised. It's an amazing wonder, you know, and she always has to separate herself to bring herself back together, because she's not trying to let this man know, oh, you were a beast to me in the past. She hides it for the majority of his recovery period, that this marriage was literally at its end when you had this accident. This accident is literally the only reason we are still here, you know. But signs start to creep up, you know. He has scars on his body from when they fought, you know, and she scratched him, he beat her and all of that. He begins to have flashbacks of, you know, the past, so his memory is coming back. She goes as far as dumping his drugs in the toilet just to prevent his memory from coming back, you know, to delay the inevitable. But the inevitable still catches up, you know. A month, I think, or two. They never really told us the duration of time it took, but his memory came back to the point that when they were rehearsing, calling names just to help see how far down or how far deep his memory had come back, she dared to call the name of his mistress, Cassandra, and he instantly reacted ugly. Like, my heart dropped for her in that moment. You guys have to see it. You have to watch this movie to see that. But if it's a trigger for you, if you've been in such situations before and you're not trying to get triggers, then this one, you can sit this one out. I care for your mental health and your health in general much more than getting you to watch a movie. Just enjoy this review and go with your life. Love, Stephanie. Now back to the movie. You know, just the instant reaction his face showed immediately he heard her name, Cassandra. I have to give it to the actor at that point, Ike Ogbonna. He killed it. You know, I feared for our female lead at that point in time. She looked afraid. She literally ran away, and that was the point at which she knew, you know what? This man has gotten his memory back. I really have no reason to be here. And she left. She wrote him a letter, you know, packed up her things, and she left. And, you know, with his memory coming back came, you know, remorse and just really taking his life into full stock and knowing that, you know what, after everything I've done to her, she still nursed me back to health. She didn't kill me. She had every opportunity to. This was literally God handing her a knife and saying, kill your enemy. And she decided to pursue peace. She was mature about it. She was truly in love. She was truly a wife in that moment. And so it really touched him, I must say. Like, him getting his memory back, he lost the old him, you know. With her not in the house anymore, he started to miss her, you know. He started to think about his life. And then, you know, some place in the movie, actually, before he got his memory back, her sister comes visiting, because this woman had three miscarriages during the duration of the 3-year marriage, whilst things were really hard and tough between them, and all of these miscarriages were as a reason or as a result of his physical abuse and sexual abuse at some point, you know. So the sister comes calling and says, you know what, God has given you the chance, the sense to know that this is not for you. Walk away. You know, and she keeps defending him. And this scene shows us just the mentality a lot of victims of such abusive relationships or marriages, just where their headspace is at. You know, she's sitting there defending him, saying he's a good man. She married him a good man. You know, she knows he's still a good man. He's probably having midlife crisis. You know, just pray for me. You know, as much as we're very religious here in Africa, I do think to some extent we take it too far. There's some situations that you need to take action, some situations that the Lord gives you, you know, the wherewithal, the grace to do the right thing. He puts the decision right in front of you and says, I've given you the choices to either be alive or to die. It's really up to you, but I would advise you to be alive. This is his word in Deuteronomy, if I'm not going too spiritual on you. But many at times here in Africa, the mentality is God will do it all. He would make his decision and make my decision as well. And he really doesn't want to do that. He wants to make it easy for you and watch you take the step. Some of the times, at least with these kind of situations. Last year in Nigeria here, we experienced the terrible loss of a gospel artist, unknown to everybody, or at least the majority of us fans and whatnot. She was in an abusive marriage. Rest in peace, Osinachi. She was pretty much a vocal magnet, shall I say, and she was posed to take over the world. But unknown to everybody, as she sang the praises of the Lord, she went back home to a man who could not stand her rising star, who just could not stand the person she was, and could not stand the fact that despite everything he was doing to her, she was still submissive. And so she died. I think that was last year, and it was her death that exposed the fact that she was even in an abusive relationship. It was then that we found out that a ton of other gospel artists knew, and some had even intervened, trying to get her out of the marriage, but she chose to stay because she thought she was being the right wife, she was doing the will of God. And this connects back to my thought on the African mentality and God and choices. Some things he definitely would let you make the decision on, and I think something like this that has to do with life and death, definitely, it's only a living person that can be married. So let's get that first sorted out, your life, before we talk about if you're married or not. That is my own personal take. I'm not for divorce, but I'm not for violence either, So that's just to buttress how much of a problem this is, not just in Africa, please. This is a problem all over the world. We still keep hearing news of this happening in well-developed countries as the United States of America and other countries. Men, beating their wives, killing their children, women doing the same. It's really not just even a male to female situation. There are situations really surprising too, where women are the aggressors, doing this to their husbands and whatnot. So this movie really addresses a thriving, alas, an unfortunate issue on the earth, period. And that has to do with just not being able to accept another human being's shine. That, to me, is really the crux of the matter. You have a problem with some other human being being amazing besides you. You want to be the only amazing person in the room, and you find that the way to express your anger and your frustration at the situation is to try and beat the person down, try and steal what they have, take it away, snuff it out, just so yours gets to shine. To some extent, I believe this is what the problem is. That low self-esteem, not feeling good in yourself, and finding unhealthy ways to add good onto you, instead of dealing with the root of the problem, finding very superficial ways and shortcut ways to getting or feeling good, which is, many of the times, taking it out on others, not caring how others feel, and the like. So just back to a film. I know I'm really digressing. It's a really important topic in society, and one I just think as a race, I just am not happy that we're still dealing with this. Like, there's some things I feel like as a race we should have conquered and been showing our badges, like, as a race we used to have these issues, but now it's over. And it's hard to know that, generation upon generation, this is one thing that has connected the human race. Every generation has experienced this in some form or manner. There are some generations where even men burnt their wives alive in public and whatnot. There was some centuries where that was the way to express abuse and violence. It's just sad to see that as forward moving and forward thinking as we are as a society, this is still something that plagues us behind closed doors. Everyone can come out and shine and be amazing, but can you do the same at home with your husband there? Is he going to support you? Is he going to be so happy that it's happening for you, whether it's happening for him or not? Or will he find ways to make himself feel good about his own failure, about his feeling of failure? Many times he's not even a failure, but he feels like one because he's too busy comparing himself to you, and vice versa. So many people that even today that are being celebrated in public, guess what? They're not happy behind closed doors. So this movie really does buttress and address a very thriving and a very important topic in society. How many people are happy behind closed doors? Married, unmarried, how many people are happy? How many people are in healthy relationships? How many women are able to go all the way in their careers because they know and they are sure that their spouses will be there to support them. He'll be there to take care of the kids when you're not around. He'll be there, to fly halfway across the world to watch you take an award for something you did. He'll be the first to blow your trumpet on social media when you get an accomplishment here and there. He will stand with you whilst you testify in church of that amazing contract you got, or that amazing car or yacht that you got, and that house you just built, or that company complex you just completed. How many women in the world today who are married can boldly say that this will happen? How many women who are married can say that if they took up an extra job, took up an extra hour at work, their marriages would not suffer? Their man would not go off and start spending himself on some small girl to reclaim his manhood. Many women that are not going all the way, that are not giving their all at work, they're not giving their all at their purpose, it's because they kind of want to keep their home. And since their home comes with the nurturing of future generations, it kind of seems to be more important than actually fulfilling your purpose on the earth, or having a job, or having your own money or whatnot. And how many men today are comfortable with the amount of successful women that have arisen? You still hear men express such anger at successful women, both married and unmarried. You still see men be afraid, hesitant to date a woman who comes in her own right, who can pay for her own meal, who doesn't ask him for money. He wants that dependency and whatnot. It's a really broad topic that I'm just not happy that we still are plagued by this, based on just how much advancement we have made in every area, in technology, in science, in just you name it. We have advanced as a race. It's just sad to know that if our ancestors came back on some kind of time machine to see, what does the future look like, they will see that we still look like them in this one area. We are still struggling in this one area. I wish we had also conquered this too. That way we can tell them, what, we did better. We did better than you. We are better off than you in this area of life. So just back to the story. I know I'm digressing a lot, but it's a really important topic that it needs to go. It stayed long enough. It just needs to go. And since it's something that is really about the grassroots, it's not something that you can go to a particular place and just deal with it. It has to do with multiple people. It has to do with mentalities, both of the victim and the abuser. Many of the times this still thrives because of the mentality of the victim mentality of the victims. Like the fact that you think you deserve to be abused, the fact that you think this is okay, the fact that you think you can manage this, the fact that you think you can pray this away, is also part of the problem. If many people who suffered this abuse reacted instantly, walked away from such situations, I do not think it will be as strong a force on the society today as it is. And it is a suffocating force. You see it even in the workplace, y'all. In daytime, we still see these things. And to some extent, it has grown this big because victims kind of seem okay being victims. We see it with this woman. Her sister comes all the way to her home, risks her own life because this man could also kill her. Okay? She comes all the way to her home, risks her life to talk sense into her younger sister. We see the elder sister really play her role, even down to the cousin, play his role, to really try and get this woman to leave this marriage. And she would not. She thinks praying can help. There are points where prayer helps. I'm a Christian, y'all. Don't get me started in the comment section with that. But I believe you should get yourself to a safe place and then pray. Okay? Pray in a safe place. get to a safe point, and then pray. That is my personal view on the matter. So it's really not the right thing. It's not really the. I wish there was a way forward. It's just how decentralized the problem is. Also, Loki makes it seem almost impossible to be solved, because it's not something that you can go to the government and say. Even if the government brought out a rule today and said, oh, every man that kills or abuses a woman gets their hands chopped, some people will still go through with it. It's beyond putting some very hefty punishment on it. It's beyond that point now. It's really beyond that point now. Like, this has to do with breaking down strongholds in the mentality of people, both abusers and victims. I think it's just the grace of God that appeared for this woman in her own situation, because she really still had to leave, for the right thing to be done, for her to see change. Just tending to him and hoping that he would not recover really didn't solve the problem. He recovered. She was a good wife. Yes, she stayed, she tended to him. She was a good person. He recovered, and then she left. That is the point. She didn't stay behind to see, oh, what would he be? No, she ran for her life. She had took him in again. She was pregnant again, for her fourth trial. And this time she took her baby or her unborn child and she left. So she took action this time, and because of her action she took, and he's seen that the grass is not greener on the other side. The other lady left, she had the abortion, she left him and went on to marry somebody else, and called some months after to apologize on the phone, just nonchalantly and everything. So the grass he was pursuing on the other side, thinking, oh, that's the best one, didn't turn out to be so great, and this one he had abandoned, that seemed in his eyes as nothing, did all the work, proved herself, and left. She didn't stay behind. That is the point. Why do victims feel the need to stay behind? You've done your job. You're a good person. You don't have to prove that to anybody. Now leave for your life. You're not just here to get married. That's not the only purpose of any human being on this planet. There's so much more to every single one of us than marriage, than love, than being with a man, being with a woman, having a job. There's so much more to each and every one of us. We are here to serve the purposes of God on this planet. Full stop. Be it in marriage, the purpose of God has to be served there. Be it in a job, be it in a vision, the purpose of God has to be, expressed through you. And having somebody cut short that journey, it's kind of, it's sad. It's really sad. So I'm really happy for this character. She left the marriage, upon his recovery. She hired a male nurse for him, paid the man in full for 1 month, and left. Really love that. And the man was left alone to think about his life. This abuser of a husband, he was left alone to think about his life, and think about his life he did. And he came to the conclusion that, what, he was in the wrong. So he went begging. He went to her cousin. He was, rebuked. He went to the sister, was rebuked at least twice. I do think he should have been rebuked a lot more. But it was, it's a film of 1:30 at most, so I think they were maxed for time. So, but at the end, seeing how insistent he was on getting his wife back and apologizing and taking ownership of his actions, which is so important and crucial. The sister opened up and let him back in, and of course the wife was already missing her husband. She didn't want this. She seemed like a very agreeable wife. It's a kind of marriage where he probably would not have had any problems with her. She didn't seem like she had an air about her, a chip on her shoulders or anything. She seemed like the perfect wife, the kind that, many are looking for, and yet he wasn't satisfied. Makes you wonder what exactly men want. Do they even know themselves what they want? Comments in the comment section. Let me hear you out. If you're a man, if you're a woman that has the answer to this ultimate question, please let me hear you out. So he finds, after taking ownership with her family, he he's finally let in on her whereabouts, because he didn't know where she was all this while. And so he's able to go see her and apologize in person and really take ownership and promise to do better. And we then get to see 5 years after in the marriage, and we see that they are in better times. They've had at least one child, another one is on the way, and so that's where the movie ends, you guys. It ends with them living happily ever after, Cinderella style, So point is, if you're in an abusive relationship, if you're the abuser, time to quit that and take ownership and do what you need to do to make things right. If there's a consequence, my dear, bear your cross. And if you're a victim, you are beautiful, you are amazing, you don't deserve any of that violence. It's time to leave. You are more than this. And so I think with that we end our session today. It's a heavy one, I'm not all giddy today, if you can notice, because this topic it's sad. Like I said, I think I've repeated this thrice throughout this page or this video. I'm so pissed throughout this video that I feel like as a race we should have been past this point, and that we're still here it's not right, and it kind of mocks all the advancements we claim we've made. Like, you've advanced in the phones you use, but in your mind you're not advanced. You've advanced in the cars you ride, but in relating with another person you've not advanced. You can relate with a phone perfectly well, but you can't relate with a fellow human being. How is that advancement? It kind of mocks all of the advancement we claim we've made as a race if this one thing is not made. I mean, being able to communicate with another human being, I should think that takes priority, even to communicating with God. He does say it in his word, if you can't love a fellow human, how can you love me? So being able to love another human being, being able to communicate effectively with another human being kind of takes precedence even to whatever it is you have to do with God. You have to have practiced with a fellow human and been perfect to an extent before you can attempt to do that with God and attempt perfection. So we are against violence on this page, violence of every kind, from the verbal type to the physical type to the emotional type, every kind of violence. We are not for violence, guys. And again, I repeat, if you are an abuser, shame on you. Time to end that. Bear the consequence for your action and take responsibility and accountability for what you've done. And if you are a victim, you deserve more than this. You are more than this. You need to leave. Amen. We went to church in the week there, guys. So that brings us to the end of today's video for the film How to Love Me, starring Ike Ogbonna and Yvonne Jegede from North Side Productions. And for those who are interested in watching this to be able to communicate better, like we always say on this page, if you're able to watch this movie, let us hear what you have to say. Comment in the comment section, share this with other people that are anti-Nollywood movies for whatever reason. They are doing amazing these days. You need to watch some for yourself to know, and so share this with everybody. Let's have a conversation. Let's hear each other out, and let's strengthen each other's mentalities. Let's strengthen each other, and let's encourage each other. You never know who's suffering. They always say check up on your strong friends, because you never know. The strong friends are always good at being strong for everybody. They're always good at being strong in front of everybody, to the extent that they're not able to share when they're suffering in their own lives. So the best way to handle such people is to always check up on them. Let them know that you're there. Let them know that you care about them as people. Check up on your strong friends. Check up on your funniest friends. Those are really good at cracking others up. Tell you, many other times, those kind of people suffer from depression, guys. I think today we're going on mental health, y'all. Check up on the funniest person in that group, the most famous person in your bunch. Check up on that person. Make sure you know they're good. Make sure you know they are good, not just that they say they are good. Go check up and be sure that they're good. And check up on you. Check up on yourself, When was the last time you expressed yourself? When was the last time you expressed anger? How angry are you? How frustrated are you these days? Are you able to eat properly, sleep properly, drink water? These are little things that we sometimes take for granted that could really, really help or mar our health, body health, mental health, and all that. When was the last time you were in an abusive environment, a toxic environment? As much as you can, separate yourself from toxic situations. If somebody is talking funny, you need to leave that place. You don't need to stay there and endure that. If somebody is behaving funny, if somebody is not in the right state of speech, in the right state of manner of action, you need to leave that spot. You deserve better. I repeat this again. You deserve better. So act like you deserve better. And hopefully, guys, it doesn't always pan out, but hopefully everyone else will act the same. So yeah, comment, like, share, subscribe to the page if you're not yet subscribed. If you're new here, I'm Stephanie. I reside in Abuja, Nigeria, West Africa, and this is my page. We talk about movie reviews, life, love, and other things to come. And this is a new page, you guys, so show me love. Share this with as many people as you can. As I said before, we've posted at least one other video, a movie review of the movie Descendants of the Sun. Check that out if you have not checked that out yet. Acquaint yourself with this brand. We're going places. Join on whilst we are new. That way you'll be telling other people, I told you so, I told you so, I told you so. I know she was amazing and I told you and you didn't believe me. Now look, be one of the first, join in and plunge in, and God will take us places, you guys. Jesus Christ's name, amen. As you can tell, I am a Christian. Yes, proud, grateful. Yes. And so yeah, this is How to Love Me movie review, a Nigerian film that really buttresses a lot that happens in a marriage with a lot of violence and abuse. So for those, again, I say this is a trigger for you. If you've come out of such a situation and you're probably still healing, you don't need to be reminded, then please, by all means, do not pay action to watching this film. Go through this review, enjoy, and move on with your life. You are a victor already. And for those who are in such situations, you need to leave. I repeat again, you need to leave. You need to leave. You need to leave. Amen. Okay, so I think we've gotten ourselves. So yet again, I'm Stephanie, and this is our page. Show love, share, like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, the bell icon as well. That way you know when we drop new videos and whatnot. And yes, comment. Let's hear what you have to say. If you do get to watch this movie, who's your best character? What exactly about that character do you like? What do you have to say about the film in entirety? How would you rather that the movie ended? Like, what would you have liked to see as the ending? It's something that we do on this channel. We like to express that. We like to rewrite movie script here because we are also movie people. Hello. So let's hear everything that you have to say, and I'll try to reply as many comments as I can, and just really vibe with y'all and just really hear where you're at. And if you know somebody in such a situation, just pray for them. Take action. Be the bad friend in quote unquote, that tells it to their face, that lets them know, look, you are in a bad situation, you need to leave. Don't just stand by the side and watch it happen. Be the sister of this woman. Be her elder sister who came face to face and let her know, you will die here if you stay, and this man worse off will bury you and nobody will know where you are. She literally said that to her sister. Sometimes you need to be up in people's faces because they don't be understanding what you're saying. So be that good friend, bad quote unquote, be that friend and let God see that you stood against evil, and hopefully with your words he would rescue that soul, and boy do you have a reward. What did I say? Boy do you have a reward. Okay, I think with that we should end this today. We could go on and on, but I love you guys. Show me love. Like again I said, like, share, comment, subscribe. Dive into this brand, and we shall all get to the top. Once again, I love you. God bless you. You are amazing. You're beautiful. You're perfect. You are it. Keep glorifying God. Keep showing love to humanity. Keep showing. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Stephanie, a YouTuber, a brand new YouTuber based in Abuja, Nigeria. You're welcome to Evergreen 1993 YouTube channel. How has your week been? I hope you've been amazing. Today we are this page and this video is for Movie Storytimes for the film What's Wrong with Secretary Kim. Yes, that is what we're doing today. It's a Korean drama, a TV series. Yes. Another one. Those who have been on this channel, this is our second the Korean TV series, that we're taking on. And yeah, this one has 16 episodes as well. It is a 2018 film. And it's from the Republic of Korea, South Korea for short. This one is a comedy, okay? It's a comedy, it's a love movie, it's really strong and thick and everything in between. Yes. It's a typical Korean movie that involves a rich, heir of a conglomerate and somebody else. It's always those kind of films that, Korea is majorly made for, majorly known for. And this one kind of dips into that pool, but like on a more mature level, because the heir of this conglomerate, our main male lead, he is a lot more older. He's more in his 30s, so he's not like a high school student or a 20-something-year-old. He's a full-on mature grown man. Okay, so this is a mature TV series. And then our female lead is his secretary. Yes. So this movie opens with her in the car with him, telling him he will need to get a new secretary because she is resigning. And he gives her the look. And then, there's a lot of rewind back to everything before that. And so she's been his secretary for 8 years, okay? So him giving her the look, it's not out of place. She has been very efficient for 8 years. And so yes, we go back to the main film, to the 9th actually. And it's a work event. He's meeting a lot of popular people, influential people in society. It's an influential party. And then his model girlfriend comes up to him, and he forgot it's her birthday, so she has to go rush off to get flowers. By she, I mean our secretary, our female lead. She rushes up to get flowers, and she's allergic to flowers. So she rushes up to get flowers, sneezing all the way. She gets them for the girlfriend of her boss. And, the boss has to remember that he got her a necklace and to admire the necklace. All of this is the job of our secretary, helping our boss be a romantic partner. Imagine. And so from there, she's pretty much doing her job all through the night, and they're living in the car together when she makes the announcement about her resigning. Now, he is in bed that night, but he doesn't sleep. Just by her announcement, he could not sleep. He wakes up the next day, goes off to work, and everything, and he's just trying to figure out what did he do to warrant her wanting to resign. He has a friend who works as a senior exec in his corporation, and so he goes to his friend's office and he's really trying to pick his friend's brain to figure out, okay, what did I do? Why is she saying this now? Was there anything bad that I did? And somehow he deduces that she's in love with him and she was jealous because she had to get flowers for his model girlfriend. His friend kind of tries to let him know that, it might not be that, but he's so confident he goes off with that knowledge to try tell her, oh, calm down, I don't really love her, and everything. The movie is really funny. So if you're really looking for comedy, this one is it. And it also has a bit of romance, so it's a rom-com. Yes, and so it's a lot of comedic acts. Like there's so many amazing creative talents in the comedic aspect that are in this film, from his staff, his main staff in his own office area, to other staff within the company. There are other love situations blossoming here and there within this film. from his staff members, that is. Many of them are falling in and out of love, trying to figure out their love situations. Many are getting heartbroken and everything. It's a really juicy one. And also, it's not just, love. There's also a deep part to it where, trauma is dealt with, child kidnapping is dealt with within this film. At a point they try to connect the two of them, the main male lead and the female lead, and how they even came to meet each other, and the fact that they had met each other first of all when they were children, even before they became adults, and how they even met as children. A lady kidnapped both of them and held them there for I think a day or two, and he was much older than she was, so she didn't fully figure out what was happening. She didn't even understand that she was kidnapped. But he, being an older child and a very mature child, I would have to say, how he acted in that scene was just so beautiful. Like, he was well put together as a child. He understood that he was older than her, so he had to be the elder one, he had to be the strong one. He couldn't show her that they were actually in danger. So the lady who kidnaps them really has mental issues, and she wants them to call her mother for some reason. It's a weird scene there, and she does commit suicide in front of them. So the boy is left with that trauma of being tied up by this lady, in wires. Both he and the young lady, they're both tied up. The young child, female child, they're both tied up, and then she commits suicide in front of them. And because she's dead now, he knows that they can leave. They try to free themselves from the wire, and they're able to leave that place. He's able to take her to her front door, and then on trying to get home, he gets to the front of a police station and just faints there as a child. So because of that, he has traumas about wires. Wherever he sees wires, he just breaks out into sweat and really starts, breathing really heavily, and really feels like he's choking. And this is something the secretary has had to deal with since she was employed by him. So she knows not to bring wires around him. He has had a few episodes where he saw wires when she was still new as a secretary. He saw wires and really broke out, and that's when she knew that this is something for him. He can't behold wires for some reason. That's something she's really efficient at. She makes sure all the wires are cut out. There's no wires wherever he is. And for her, it's spiders, because even in that scene where they were kidnapped, there was a spider situation there. So from there, she developed a trauma for spiders. Wherever she sees spiders, she freaks out, she runs, she cries, she screams. And so for her, hers is spiders. She has very vague recollection of being kidnapped and whatnot, and just being that recollection tied to the spider thing. Wherever she sees it, she just keeps having vague recollection that she was probably kidnapped at some point and whatnot. The film really deals with a lot of mental stuff and tries to mix that up with the love story that is brooding between Oga and his secretary, as well as all of that little love stories here and there that make up the supporting casts. And then all of the comedy on this film, really crazy. And also his really complicated relationship with his older brother, who also, based on his own actions at the time, led to the guy being kidnapped. So because of that, they've not had a cordial relationship since they were kids, and it evolves even into when they are adults and everything, and their parents have to manage that whole situation. Even the comedy between his parents, you have to watch to figure that out. For those who've watched, iconic, right? Yes, so there's a lot of comedy. I keep repeating that because it's really funny. They really tried to hit the comedy mark with this film. Even the relationship he has with his best friend, who's a senior exec at his company, is just a really funny relationship. They keep, and then it's hard for him to figure out that he's in love with her. So he just proceeds straight into proposing marriage to try to stop her from leaving the company. And obviously, as you know, it doesn't work because she hasn't seen him in that light yet, and he really just rushed into asking her to marry him. No romance, no nothing, and he really doesn't ask in the most romantic way. He makes it seem almost like a business proposal. You know, these are the things that I am, this is what you gain from me if you're able to say yes to this. And you know, it's not really that for her. She really wanted to leave the company because she started working when, you know, as really young, probably from the age of 18, to help settle debts of her father and help her sisters through medical school. She never got to go to school because she was too busy working, and she had just finished paying all of their debts from both the two elder sisters from school to her father's debts. And she had saved up enough, and she wanted to go on and live life. She was turning 30 and she had not really lived life. Every day she was at work, you know, from sun up to sundown, not really having a life. All her friends had moved on. She couldn't even have a social life. They all would try to call her out for drinks and she would not be able to go because she was too busy working, you know. So she really was resigning to have a life, to go live, to go travel, you know, do things, and also prepare for marriage. That was, at a point, he was so perplexed he couldn't find the reason why she would want to resign. And so he just point blank asked her, so why are you resigning? Do you have another job? You know, are they offering you another pay? I will double your pay, you know, and everything. And she just had to tell him, no, I don't have any plans. I'm not going to any other company. I'm just resigning to live life and also prepare for marriage. He was even more confused. How can you resign to prepare for marriage? You know, and so that's where he got the idea to start proposing marriage to her, just to keep her around. And so from proposing the marriage to her, that also opened up, you know, both of them. All the while they had just been professional. She, his secretary, he, her boss. But that opened them up to talking to each other, seeing each other for the first time, and being friends, and trying to figure out who each other is, and how they take and what each other is about. You know, so I think that moment was kind of cool for the film. So they started hanging out, you know, going for dates here and there. I remember a scene where she had her friends also set her up on a blind date with some other person who happened to be a journalist, and she went on that date after she had gone on a date with her boss. And when he heard she was on a date, he was so uncomfortable that he had to go to where she was, excuse me. And upon seeing she with the guy, he freaked out. It was so hilarious. You have to watch that to see. It was really funny, guys. For those who watched it, I hope you remember the scene I'm speaking of. Yeah, so there's a lot of comedy. Like the main lead, he is a very comic actor. If you've watched other of his works, you know he likes to mix comedy with what he does, and he's really good with that. And so yeah, he mixed a lot of comedy with this one. There was a lot of funny moments coming from our main lead for this movie, even down to, you know, them being sexual and everything within the film. This film gave a lot more make-out sessions than the normal Korean movie ever would. Okay, so there were a lot more make-out sessions within this film. For those who are into that and haven't watched this film, yes, that's one more reason I guess you can decide to watch this one. So yeah, what's wrong with Secretary Kim? It's really amazing. Her name is Secretary Kim, so that's why the film is named that way. What's wrong with Secretary Kim? It's a really interesting one. It really does the light stuff really cool and the heavy stuff really cool, you know. We didn't get to see her piece everything together and then figure out that he's not just her boss, but he's also the guy who rescued her from a kidnap attempt when she was a child. You know, and boy, he had always recognized her, and is also part of the reason why he employed her. She was the least employable for the position of secretary to the CEO. You know, for that position she had to understand or speak Chinese, Japanese, and all of that stuff, and she could not. but he still employed her for the position. There were a lot of flashback moments where she could not do certain things. At the very beginning, when he had employed her, she wanted to quit. She would call her sisters crying, and he too would be hard on her, like, how can you not have learned this? He even got her books to learn Chinese, got her books to learn Japanese and everything, and would even force her, encourage her to go learn those, and she finally learned them and was proficient at those. And there are many scenes within the film where things didn't work out within the company, and so many emergency situations came up, and you could see her go into emergency mode and try to fix it and really fix it. And you see him being just nostalgic and be like, damn, when you go, who's gonna fix stuff like this for us? Like, you're so good at this, and this is why I'm so relaxed as a boss, because I know that you would handle this. You then see her kind of second guess if she should even leave the company at all, if she should maybe truncate all what she wanted to do earlier on and just stay and serve him and the company. And of course, they are falling in love little by little at this point. And then he finally asks her out for the opt-in time. Let me tell you, he kept asking her out, kept asking her to marry him, and she kept denying it and denying him and rejecting him for the most part. And I will just give it to him. There was no ego with him. This film ties in with our first film we ever did. I don't know if you've checked that out yet. Our movie Storytime and review of Descendants of the Sun, also a Korean TV drama and series. There as well, the girl kept rejecting him because she couldn't stand him and his job. This one too, she couldn't stand the way he was proposing to her, and the fact that he's her boss, she didn't want to have anything to do with him. So these two ladies kept rejecting these men, and there was no ego with the men, no anger, no pride or anything. They would still relate to these women normally. They will not vex or anything like that or get angry. And I really applaud these men for that mature state of mind, that mature character. It just speaks to full-on maturity, guys. I mean, can you still relate to this woman after you don't get what you want? Is it still okay to speak to her after she doesn't give you what you're looking for? Is she still worthy of your attention? Is she still worthy of communication with you if she doesn't give you what you're looking for, if she disappoints you, if she doesn't meet your expectation? These movies, I'm really proud of the men in these films, our male leads in these two films, because they both showed a lot of maturity in that even after they didn't get what they were looking for, they still related with the women. They still did what they had to do. There was no ego, no pride, no anger or vexation of any kind. And so that's really dope. And so at some point, she too had to admit that she was, had fallen in love with this guy. At some point, she even hired her replacement and trained the lady on how to replace her. And at this point, he was angry that she wanted to leave. He could not understand why she was leaving. He wasn't happy at all. But she had help with the work. She was still, in many of these corporations, it takes, even when you've indicated interest to resign, you don't resign immediately. It takes a bit of time, and then you also have to train your replacement before you can actually leave. And so she was going through that motion with the company and whatnot. She was training her replacement, and she was also leaving out the period of time before it's okay to actually drop the ball. And so within that time, he was also trying to convince her to stay behind as his secretary, whilst they were also trying to know each other as friends. And so at some point, she said yes to him, and they started dating. And then she was trying to hide it from her fellow colleagues, because she knew what came with that kind of power. When somebody of the lower class gets an upgrade, every other person who used to be her neighbor, who were also low class, kind of start feeling some type of way. Start trying to peddle rumors as per how did you get it? We were all together. He saw all of us. How come it's you he picked? You said this him as the secretary and all of that. She knew what was coming, so she was trying to avoid it as much as possible. So she wanted to keep their relationship private, but he couldn't understand it because he's the elite. Those kind of people. He was also reacting based on new love. He was really obsessed with her. He wanted to flaunt her, show off, scream to the world that he's in love with her and everything. So he didn't understand why she was trying to keep it private. She would not want him. He would want to, romance her in the office, invite her in whilst working to just sit down and talk with him, and she would blatantly refuse. She would be scared and everything. They were caught a few times. It was really awkward. You have to watch to see. And so at some point, the news broke that she was dating him, and some of those outbursts she was fearing came, and she had to deal with that. Her friends had to deal with that, and he heard about it, and he didn't understand it. He wanted to defend her, but she let him know that, and even his friend let him know that if you defend her right now, it's going to make things worse. This doesn't help her in any way. This is just the way it happens. When somebody of a lower class is sort of upgraded to a higher class, those who she was in the low class with before, the first reaction is jealousy. The first reaction is envy. The first reaction is competition and comparison and anger. How come it's you and not me? What did you do aside from what I did? What extra did you put in there? And then accusations arise. Oh, she did this. Oh, she did that. It's just part of it, and he tried to find other ways to make it up to her without her knowing that he had found out, which also speaks to just them pouring love into each other, pouring selfless love into each other, and being intentional about keeping each other happy and giving each other the small things of life. Like, he just took her to the beach side to watch the ocean and to feel happy, and she had not gone in a while, So that very little thing wasn't about buying. With this film, as much as he was rich, there was no huge buy or going off to some big island or anything. It was really small things, like going off to dinner, taking her to the beach side. It was really small things like that were done to show love, because she would not allow him to do the big things. So he also had to learn how to cope with showing her love with the genuine, little things of life. Not saying the big things are not authentic or anything, but many of the times it's more about showing out and showing off than actually the person. It's more about showing that you can do this than actually pleasing the person. Whereas with the small things, it's more about will she like it? It's about her. Then you can focus on her. Even with the way he finally proposed marriage to her, he was thinking of all the big things, and with every big thing he thought about, he will find out in some way that that's not even what she's looking for. So he should not even do that. He wanted to fly her to Las Vegas to propose, and she was like, why? We have work to do. Just things like that. And he had to find a really simple way to propose to her, using things she could understand, things that were already in rotation in their lives, things of familiarity that would give her nostalgia and just remind her of just how far they've come. Those were the things he used to propose to her, and he sang for her. He played the piano for her in his home. He didn't have to go to some restaurant or anything or buy her big ass clothes or anything. It was really, this film showed that love, as much as, yes, the feeling can make you want to climb on top of the world and scream to the rooftop, it's really about the little things too. The little things, the familiar things, the things that really don't need a paparazzi photo, It really is those things that really make the love sweeter, sort of make it blossom and shine and all of that. So I like the fact that with the film, as much as they could go big, they went small. They could have gone as big as possible, but they went small. And there were scenes where he got drunk and she had to tend to him, and then she in turn got drunk and he had to tend to her. So those are really cute, really tiny things that just show a spark of love, and it's really cool to see that they addressed all of those within the film and everything. And his relationship with his brother was really resolved at the end. It's even the brother that let him know that this girl is allergic to flowers. He had not noticed all through the film that she was allergic to flowers, and he then was able to help with that. They even show you the wedding day and how nervous he was to get married, and he didn't hide how nervous he was from her. These people were friends, okay? They were open with each other. right in front of her, he was nervous, and she didn't get offended that you don't want to marry me, or you don't want to marry me or anything. No, she smiled and helped him through his nerves. And when it was her turn and she was nervous, he helped her. They were really open and clear, and there was no makeup with them or anything like that. Everyone was really themselves, and that speaks to the fact that they were friends. This is why they say marry your friend. There'll be no need to form or show out or build a persona or anything. You just be yourself, and this person, if they're really for you, will love the real you. They'll find cute things in there that make them smile. It will make sense to them. Your crazy would make sense to them. They won't question it. They will understand it like they understand themselves, sort of. So the employees at work come to the wedding and everything, and the Koreans get married different. I'm not even going to comment too much on that. You got to watch to see how they got married. And yeah, the film ends with them getting married. Actually ends with them after they've been pronounced man and wife and whatnot. There's also the scenes of how overwhelmed her family felt about being married to this rich family, and how the guy's family honestly they weren't trying to overwhelm her family. Just when you're big, you can't really help your bigness. And so she had to come in and defend and stand for her family and be like, we're not doing this. This is overwhelming for us. We'll be able to bring what we can. You bring as little as you can. We don't want too much from your end. And he stood for her as well in front of his family. Can I speak on this? You got to stand for your girl, okay? In front of your family, you have to defend her. You have to help her. You have to help her feel at home and help your family understand that power has shifted hands, okay? The power is now with you and your woman, no longer with your mother. Your mother should not be in charge in a grown, married man's life, okay? Let me sound this clearly to everybody listening. If you're a married man and your mother is still in charge, shame on you. That doesn't make any sense. You as a married man should be in charge with your wife. Full stop. Okay? And the practice starts before the marriage. If you cannot be that way and put your mom in her place respectfully as possible in her place before the marriage, then my dear, you would not do it after that marriage. You would not. You would not. Characters don't grow on trees. We nurture them over time. So if you're not showing that you have this capacity beforehand, you will not have it afterwards. You would not. And she would suffer. She would suffer. So he stood with her. He let his parents know that I know we are rich, but we are marrying into somebody's family and we have to consider them too. And this is what they can offer. We will take what they can offer and we will not try to outshine them as much as possible. That was really the message. And his family had to do the same, especially his mom, who was really trying hard to show out. And this is her, the first marriage in her family, so she was really excited, trying to spend as much money as possible, and it was honestly making the girl uncomfortable, making her own family uncomfortable. So the man has to stand up and tell his mother and his father, yes, I understand we are rich, we are really excited, but we're not the only ones here. These people are here and this is what they can afford, and we will not outshine them and make it clear who brought what. No, we will not. We would support them as much as they can, Yeah, and so that was pretty much understood and obeyed and honored by his own family. And so they got married. Yes, they got married, and the two families were well represented and everything. And that's honestly how the film ended. Yeah, the film was really dope, and it was shot mostly in the company, actually. The man is a workaholic. He works really hard. And of course, she's a secretary, so she's not too far behind as well. Working. So yes, there are even really cute interactions between the guy and her father. You have to watch to see those. It's really dope and everything. Just seeing her honor her father in front of the guy too was kind of cool, showing that this man is number one in my life. Even you as the man that I love have to respect that. And because she showed her father that level of respect, the man also had to do the same to her father. So just this movie is also lessons for those who are dating. Little lessons on family relations. You should not be disrespecting your family in front of the man you love. For whatever reason, he has to learn how to respect your family from how he sees you treat your family. You know, how you are with your parents. You cannot be disrespectful to your parents in front of that man. You have to honor your parents in front of that man and that woman so that they know that it is unquestionable, undeniable that they have to do the same. And defend your woman in front of your family, defend your man in front of your family. You know what they can afford for the wedding, you know what they can afford for the marriage. Do not let your family pressure them to bring more than what they can afford. You know, stand with them because you know, and that's where you're going anyways. So yes, these are a few lessons. Also how he was with her friends, you know, how he was with her sisters, because her sisters were very reluctant to accept him because they had heard all the stories of how he was torturing her as an employer. So now your employer is now your boyfriend? No. Is it that same young man that did this to you, that kept you at work till this time and you got home and you still had to go back to work the next day and everything? Yeah, so the sisters really did not accept him at first, and he humbled himself. He did the work. He went out to them, related with them at their level. They were out clam hunting. For those who do not have clam in their country, yeah, I don't know. It's a type of seafood and it's hunted in some kind of water, muddy water type thing. We saw that in the Korean film. I haven't had clams before, so it was definitely a moment for me watching that. And he went out. He had never hunted clam in his life. But he went out there in his suit and everything to hunt it with the sisters, almost, you know, injured himself, almost fell down and everything. But that broke down the walls of the sisters, and they could see that he really loved her enough to want to relate with them. And so all the reservations they had about her dating the guy went. By the time the day was over, the sisters had given their consent to the relationship. So also his respect for her sisters, based on her own respect for her sisters as well, you know, also came through on the film. And just how he was with his friend and how she was with his friend as well. She respected his friend, you know, and honored his friend and everything. It was a really good film that really shows a lot of the lessons, etiquette of relationships, how people in relationships relate with each other's people and relate with each other themselves, you know. And also, if you're both dating in a professional environment, how to be. Do not bring your relationship to work. She was full on right from the start. Do not bring your relationship to work. You are here to work and go home and relationship there. You know, so she was, I really commend her. She was a very straight up character within the film, very strict and very focused, you know, on what she's about and everything. So yeah, it was really dope. It's a really, really dope film. And for those who haven't watched it, I hope, bless me, I hope I have convinced you from this story time to go watch What's Wrong with Secretary Kim. It's a dope film, and yes, it's really interesting, and there are a lot of laughs in between for sure. Yes, definitely you're gonna laugh a lot if you are going to watch this film. And for those who have watched it, then you know that there were a lot of laughs within this film. So yeah, we've come to the end of this story time review for the film What's Wrong with Secretary Kim, a Korean drama. And so as we usually do on this page, tell me what you think about this one. You know, who's your best character, what's your best scene, and how would you have rather that it ended, you know. And then yes, yes, what are your takes on everything? You know, let's know what parts of their relationship do you agree with, what parts of their relationship do you not agree with. Let us know in the comment section. I will try as much as I can to respond to your comments, you know. So like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications and the bell icon as well. Let us know, you know, that way you know when new videos drop. Yes. And so as I always say, God bless you, stay amazing. You are it, you're amazing, you're perfect. Okay, You deserve love, you deserve respect, you deserve value, you deserve honor, and make sure you give those to yourself first and foremost, and then demand that from everybody else because you've given it to yourself now. Yes. And so yes, support your girl, support the channel, show me love, jump on this brand, like, share, comment, subscribe, and then see you on our next video. Also, for those who are new on the channel, we have other videos that we've posted. Check out the page Evermore 1993 page on YouTube, and check out other videos that we posted, both our long span videos and our short span videos. Check all of them out. Support us, like, share, comment, subscribe on those ones as well. We'll try to check the comments and reply you as much as we can. And for those who do not know or who have forgotten, I am Stephanie, a new YouTuber based in Abuja, Nigeria. On this page we post movie reviews, movie story times, love, life talks and whatnot. And yeah, God bless you. Keep serving the purposes of God. Keep glorifying God upon the earth. Keep serving humanity, and most importantly, keep serving yourself. Keep loving on yourself. There's only one you in the entire world. You are amazing, you are unique, you are different. Do not compare yourself to anybody. You are a victor, you're a success already. God is on your side. Keep pushing. Love you, and God bless. Bye. Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of our movie story times and movie reviews here on the Evermore channel. Okay, so my name is Stephanie. I am a YouTuber, a brand new YouTuber based in Abuja, Nigeria. On this page at Evermore 1993 on YouTube here, we speak about movie story times, movie reviews, love, life, and so on and so forth. Today's episode is for the movie titled Glass Onion, a Knives Out Mystery. Glass Onion, a Knives Out Mystery. Now this film is the second in a series of movies, mystery movies, and it was released last year. Actually, it's a brand new one, 2022, and this is the second one. The first one was a different one. It was really interesting. So when I saw the trailer and I heard about this film coming out, I honestly thought it was going to be a continuation of the first Glass Onion film. And upon seeing the trailer for this one, I realized it's a completely different storyline, completely different cast. Just one person returns who is literally the main, plot at which the story is built around him. He's, the detective, and he's always called out to, solve one mystery or the other. So they kind of built the story around him. Whereas I thought it was going to be a completely, continuation of the previous one where they built the story around the entire cast from the previous film. But I guess they chose to go in a different direction, focusing instead on the detective as opposed to the entire cast. So with this film, for those who probably watched the first one, this one has a completely different cast, and it's a different cast, it's a different story, but it's still a mystery. It still warrants a detective, still is head scratching, kind of like it's a film that is designed to make you think, wonder, who's behind this, with all of these films a murder happens, obviously, and so you have to ask, who's behind the murder? Because with the film and the way it's told, the storyline, you have so many people to blame. Like, there's so many suspects, so many people who would have wanted to do that, and with this one it's the same. So this movie opens with our it opens with the main cast, and it's around the detective Benoit Blanc. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And it also follows the pandemic. Within the story, there's also the COVID-19 pandemic. So he's at home, within the pandemic period, which is 2020. No one was going out. Everyone was home. And so also the detective is at home. There's no case to solve. And, his life revolves around solving cases. So he's kind of stuck. He doesn't know what to do with himself, and they try to bring, the funny side to the story where he's like locked up in the toilet, in the bathroom, because he doesn't know what to do with himself. He's reading books day in, day out in the bathroom, and his friends, his pals, over, video call and try to like engage him in different games and whatnot, just, to keep him busy, to keep him motivated. That way he's not depressed, he's not feeling lonely and whatnot. And he sucks at the games, even though the games are pretty much a game version of what he does in reality, which is a detective game. He still sucks at the game, and his friends are like, why do you suck at this game? You do this for a living. You should be better at this than we are. It's part of the comic relief in the movie, I would say. So, he's in the bathroom till somebody comes through with, a package, somebody who's a potential customer for his services comes to him, and, there's a glimmer of hope in his eyes. Cut to the beginning. The beginning starts with his guys. He's the pals of this billionaire named Miles Braun, right? He has, an actress as a pal. He has a politician. He has a scientist who works at his company. He also has a YouTuber, a male YouTuber, who also, all four of them are his pals, his close buddies, and he sends them an invite. But with the invite, to be able to get to the card where, shows that it's an invite, it's a game. You have to play the game till you get to where the card is. It's delivered in a box, sort of. So they're all like conference calling each other to figure out how to play this game to get to whatever it is. And so they all are able to play the game and get to, the card that invites them to his private island for the weekend to enjoy themselves, relax, and all of that. There's a part where every one of the four friends are pretty much shown to tell you like what their characters are like. I think one of the funny parts for me was the male YouTuber man, the grown-ass man who's on YouTube and defending, that men should be in charge of the society. He's defending his comments he had made earlier on, saying how, there should be no inequality in the workplace. Men are supposed to be in charge in the workplace. The part that makes it so funny for me is his mom is calling him to tell him his package has come in. And so he can't, of course, it was a live session on YouTube, so he could not answer her at the time. So when it was done, he rushes off to her and is like, when I'm recording, you're not supposed to call me and everything. And just before he finishes, she slaps him across the face. And while he's trying to defend himself, the expressions on this woman's face, you have to see to understand, iconic. She's not even hearing what he has to say. At the end of the day, he retires and just apologizes to his mother. I feel like, probably she reminds me of an African mom, not the violence part, but the part where you really have nothing to say against what she has to say. She's right. Just apologize and move on with your life. So that part was really funny for me. And also, with the female governor, it showed just how majority of our lives were during the pandemic. Everywhere is a mess, but the minute you show up, for work on that Zoom call or video call, it's all lit. From your belly all the way upwards, you're perfect. From the belly downwards, you are like in your PJs. Like she said when she was granting the interview on the film, like the place she was granting the interview, she uses it for both her children's kindergarten classes, she uses it for conference calls at work, and now she's using it for an interview with CNN. So they really showed how the pandemic period was. They all had their face masks on, nobody was touching each other. They really tried to film this. I don't know if they really filmed it within the pandemic period, but it was definitely reflected within the film that the film was in pandemic mode. So they're all invited to this private island, and they're all excited to go. And then they show us the fifth member of this gang, and she's not really excited. She gets the box as well. And it's our beloved Janelle Monáe. Like, if you know this woman, she's a musician, but she's kind of trying to find her path now. And I was surprised to see her on the cast, I would not lie. Janelle Monáe is definitely iconic, and I think she killed it in this role, in this character. And let me just say before I move on, like, her costume for this film was just legit, and the makeup team, her skin team, just killed it with her makeup. Like, it was so perfect on her. Her skin was glowing all through the movie, and her hair team too were on lock. Let me just tell you, she really killed it with the acting, with the appearance, with the wardrobe. Everything Janelle Monáe did on this movie was amazing. She played two different characters within this film, and one had an accent, and she killed all of them all together. So definitely got to give my heart out to Janelle Monáe. So back to the movie. So she's the fifth member of the group, and unlike the four members shown previously, she's not really happy when she gets this box. She's not really excited to open it to figure out the puzzle. Next thing we see, she brings a hammer and she hammers this thing all the way down till she gets to the card. I mean, talk of a different way to open a box. Everybody else was excited to play the game, asking each other over, conference call, how do we play this, what is this? But with her, she didn't even care. She just went for a hammer and she hammered it all the way down. Really cool. And so she gets to the card as well, and she's also invited to the private island of Miles Braun. So everyone arrives at this place where they're supposed to meet up, like a meetup point. And our detective is the first who arrives there, and then followed by the other four members, and then the fifth person to arrive is Janelle Monáe. And everybody's reaction to her arrival is definitely different. Many of them are not really happy to see her. Everybody's surprised to see her. They just really open the story up slowly to you. At first, you're not carried along. You don't really understand what is happening. But as you go along in the story, they begin to explain per time why this is happening, why that is happening. I think that is cool, that they keep the viewer curious. They keep you asking, okay, why is this happening? Why is this happening? They don't really explain everything to you off the bat. You are confused. They are the ones that won't understand the story. With different films, with some films, they give the power to the viewer. You understand it. They're the ones still trying to figure themselves out. But with this film, they held the power themselves and would only dose out in dosages to us per time as they deemed fit. And I think that because it's a mystery film, that makes sense, because we are supposed to be held, like, to some extent in ransom, questioning things, wondering things, thinking for ourselves, and wondering, all through the film what is going on, pretty much. It's pretty much to the end of the film you kind of figure out what this movie was about. You really get the full picture of what they're trying to say, and I think it's really cool that they kept holding on to their story till the very end. That patience and resilience and consistency really give the script writers their trumpets, give them their accolades, because they did their job on that. So she's arrived there, and they have a yacht coming to pick them up. They're all on the yacht, but she's separate from the group. Everybody else is hanging together, but she's kind of alone, different. And on the movie she's called Andy, so I'm gonna call her Andy from here on out, as opposed to her real name. So yeah, on the yacht, Andy is just alone from the group. Everyone is questioning why she's here. Everybody's wondering. Everyone is staring at her, and she's not really giving anybody facial contact. She's not really engaging anybody either. She too is more than happy to stay on her own. And so they get to the private island, and he welcomes everybody. You get to see his relationship and just how close he is with each and every person based on how they react and how they interact upon he's citing them and everything. So he's really close with everybody, let me just say. But with Andy, by he I mean Miles Braun, who invited them to the island, he's also really closed off, and he's surprised that she's there. He's wondering. There's also a very mysterious look on his face as per how come you're here. How come you are here? So he introduces everybody, and his home is literally a glass onion. So he takes everybody on a tour of the home, and then tells them why they're here. They're here to participate in a game to figure out who killed him. Like, rich people are so weird. So he literally creates an entire game where he's supposed to be killed at, their reunion, shall I call it. And they are all supposed to play this game to figure out who amongst them killed him. Well, Fake killed him because he wasn't hoping to die per se, but like, it was a game they were all supposed to play. Imagine that. So anyways, they all, converge and then have dinner later that day, and it's at the dinner he explains the game to everybody and whatnot. And let me just tell you, at that dinner, the detective solves the mystery. Just before they even begin playing the game, he solves it, tells them every step of the way, just how all the clues were planted, how every clue led to one person and who that person was, who was also seated there as well. And the Miles Brown was just so disappointed that even before anyone got to play the game, it was already figured out. That it was really that easy, that the detective was able to figure it out even before anybody else did. So the detective is really figures out that he wasn't invited to this, this getaway. He got a card, but it wasn't Miles Brown that sent him the card. So how did he get this card? Who invited him if Miles Brown didn't invite him? Miles Brown doesn't really see the danger in an unwanted guest being on his island, but the detective, being, a professional, says, somebody here doesn't trust you. Somebody here is willing to do something to you. You need to be alert. You need to be focused. You can't be this, casual and this undisturbed by the fact that somebody brought me here without your permission. Somebody is willing to kill you. Somebody is willing to harm you. But he keeps brushing it off all through, for the most part of the film. So now the game is about there's nothing else to do. Everyone is just hanging out around. And so the YouTuber guy gets, an alert on his phone. I guess the film was promoting a lot of Google, products. There was a lot of Google product placement within the film. So Google Alerts, I guess is a new brand of theirs, was being promoted within the film. So he's getting a lot of Google Alerts, which are kind of pop-up news on different topics and different themes and whatnot. So he keeps getting alerts, and then he shows this particular alert to Miles Brown, and he's like, we can start talking about you employing me in this area and whatnot. And they are all celebrating, and the next thing you know, the YouTuber is choking. He's gasping for breath. He can't breathe. He's holding his neck. He falls to the ground, falls on top of the glass table. And the next thing you know, even before the detective can get to him to figure out, what's the problem? Is he choking on anything? He's dead. The YouTuber is dead right there in front of everybody. Who killed him? So everyone starts freaking out. Everyone is surprised. And then that is when Miles Brown finally figures it out. They're like, okay, this detective was onto something. These people are trying to kill me. He points to the glass. The YouTuber was drinking from a glass before he, started choking and whatnot. He points to the glass and claims, oh my goodness, it's my drink. Somebody tried to poison me, but he took my drink and he died for me. He died in my place. Then he starts hiding and behind the detective that is, and before you know it, it's lights out and everywhere is dark. And now somebody just died. And now we all don't know who to trust. Imagine that kind of scenario. So everyone is freaking out. Everyone is running in opposite directions, trying to get away from whoever this killer is. And the detective is trying to find Andy. It's a whole mess. He finally finds Andy, and as he's speaking to her, somebody points a gun and shoots her right in front of him. She's dead. And they now do some trace back at this point. Okay. So with this film, the actual original beginning is with the original Andy. She's friends with all four, minus Miles Brown. And she brings in Miles Brown to them when they were all still not anything. They were all still hustling. They were all still trying to make a living. She brings Miles Brown to the group, introduces him to everybody at this cafe they used to hang out at, which was called Glass Onion. And so at first, everybody doesn't really like Miles Brown. He speaks funny. He talks weird. But she encourages everybody to, accept him, bring him along, bring him into the group. And from time to time, I guess he has a lot of connections. He starts setting every single one of them up. With the actress, she gets, more roles and whatnot. With the politician, she gets to win the position she was gunning for. For the scientist, he sets him up, where he needs to be. For the YouTuber, sets him up with Twitch. He was a gaming YouTuber with Twitch at the time. So all of the guys now have something they owe Miles Braun. Miles Braun literally is their savior. But for some reason, Andy doesn't figure this out. She doesn't understand that the power has shifted hands. She's no longer in charge of these guys. These guys owe their loyalty to somebody else now. Well, the group continues, and then Andy gets this amazing idea. She jots it on a paper tissue, bows in glass onion, and she shows it to Miles, and they open this company together called Alpha. They don't really tell us what this idea is, but it has to do with cryptocurrency. It has to do with the tech world. And at some point he brings up a brand new idea and he wants Andy to come in on it. He wants them to invest their resources from the Alpha company into this new idea he has. And Andy is not up for it. She does not want to invest this. She thinks the idea is dangerous. It has to do with a brand new type of fuel that it's more efficient and cheaper to run and more green. But in actual reality, it's dangerous. It's unhealthy to the human consumption, to the air and whatnot, and it really is not green in any way. It's actually a danger to society. But he is so fixated with getting his name up in the stars, up in the skies as a savior of some sort, that he wants to plunge all their resources from Alpha into this brand new idea, and Andy will not have it. And they own the company 50-50. Another idea that I think is really dumb. You brought the ideas to this company. Why does this person have 50% of your idea? She should have owned more of the company than he did. And on top of that, on top of the sharing of the company, he is the CEO. Why is he the CEO of your idea, girl? It didn't make any sense, but somehow she probably trusted Miles Braun, and he was both CEO and 50% owner of the company. So obviously your staff reports to him, your lawyers report to him, your accountants report to him. When she denied him access to the finance and threatened to leave the company, leave with half of their resources, he tweaks the contracts they made with the lawyers of the company and cuts her out of the company completely. Now she doesn't even own part of the company anymore. Now he's making it seem like he's the one who jotted the idea on the tissue paper at Glass Onion. Now she's the one who, doesn't own anything, and he doesn't want to have anything to do with her. And to show you that power had actually switched hands when he helped out all the friends, in court where she sued him, every single one of those 4 people who were there and were witnesses to the fact that she is the one who had the founding idea, they all denied. They all claimed it was Miles who had the idea and not Andy. And with that, she lost her company, she lost her resources, she was left alone. Everybody followed Miles Braun. And she's devastated, and she, for some reason, lost the original paper tissue where she jotted the idea. Another thing that I think is really, doesn't make any sense. But, in the anger of everything she had lost, she pretty much throws her house upside down, and she finds the original tissue paper where she jotted the idea for Alpha. She puts it in a red envelope, and she emails this to all of the 5 guys, and she tells them, I found the original, I'm about to destroy this company, I'm about to tell the truth, and everybody will know Miles was lying. You know where to find me. Why would they know where to find you? You are in danger, girl. Why did she do this to herself? And so the original Andy actually died. Yeah. And they claimed it was suicide. So who arrived on the island? Andy's twin sister. That's who? Helen. Helen, who's a teacher in Alabama, is the one who came through and just knew that her sister didn't commit suicide, somebody killed her. She went through everything, went through the emails, so she knew that, the sister had sent an email with the red envelope, showing the red envelope, telling her other guys to, come find her, that she was about to do this crazy thing. And 4 days after she sent that email, she was found, unconscious in her car, and they claimed it was suicide, with sleeping pills in her system and whatnot. And the sister, just suspecting foul play, searched the entire house, didn't find the red envelope, and then knew instantly that one of them came through and killed her and took the envelope. So she's the one who came to meet Benoit Blanc, the detective, to employ him to help her find out who killed her sister. So him arriving on the island with an invitation card, it turned out to be the one, Miles had sent to Andy. This is another thing about the film. I'm exposing too much. Let's just continue on, and I'm explaining this later on. So with the invite Miles had sent to Andy, Helen was able to show up on the island, and Detective Benoit Blanc was also able to show up on the island as legit people there. So as the detective is engaging everybody else in the team, Andy always finds a very creative way to separate herself from the team, to go search and snoop in all their rooms to try find out evidence, to try figure out who amongst all of them did it, and try to find the red envelope to know if any of them brought it to the island to give it to Miles at the point. So she dying in front of Benoit Blanc turned out to be fake, because she had the journal of her twin sister Andy, who had died, in her pocket. And so when the person shot her on that very spot, and so the force of the bullet was stopped by the thickness of the journal in her pocket. I hope I haven't lost you here. So she didn't get shot. She was almost shot, but she was, miraculously saved by her sister, you can say. But a light bulb moment goes off in Detective Blanc's head. This person just shot you, so he thinks you're dead. So let's use that to our advantage. So they spill this red saucy pepper thing all over her and pretend that she's really dead. When the others come out, they all see her dead and they're all screaming and whatnot, and he's able to take them all inside. Whilst he's inside with them, she goes snooping in Miles Brown's, where he lives and where he stays, and she finds the red envelope there. And that at that point, all the pieces come together in the detective's head, and he then figures out who is behind this entire thing. Who killed the real Andy, who killed, the YouTuber just earlier on that night, and who really is behind this whole craziness. It's Miles Brown, guys. He did all of this, the billionaire with an island who probably doesn't need anything in life. He did this. He drove all the way to Andy's house, poisoned her, made it seem as if he was coming to make amends. While she wasn't looking, he spilled stuff in her drink. She drank that and was unconscious and died, And he set it up to seem like she had committed suicide. He is the same one who sent her the invites. For what reason, I don't know. That's what I was trying to say earlier on, but I didn't want to spill the fact that Miles Brown was the one who did it yet. But he had already killed Andy, so why send her the invite? I feel like that was a bit iffy on the scriptwriter's part. If he had already killed her, why did he send her an invite? She was no longer part of the main group. He wanted to, boast about the fact that, the new fuel he had done all of this for was ready for consumption and ready for distribution. He wanted to show off to everybody and whatnot. So why bring Andy? She's already dead. Even though the news had not gone out that she was dead yet. So maybe that's why. But to me, I feel like that was an F on the scriptwriter's part, because he didn't have to send her a box to invite her, seeing as he made sure she would not be able to attend. There was no need for the pretense. The other people in the group weren't even expecting her to be there. So it wouldn't have been suspicious if he didn't invite her, whether she was dead or alive, So I feel like that's a part that they probably didn't need to do. But, if she didn't come, then the detective wouldn't have come, and, this whole story would have been a bust. So the story really relied on her being invited and she just doing everything else herself. So back to the story. So the detective really breaks down everything to figure out that the suspicious person everyone all night have been trying to figure out who's this person. It's actually the person who invited everybody here. It's the person who keeps making it seem like everything is perfect with him. Well, it really isn't. He had to drive all the way to Andy's house himself, left his fancy island just to go defend this lie he had created with the media, that he's the original owner of the idea. He's the one who jotted it on the tissue paper. He's the owner of Alpha. He really wanted to protect that lie at all costs, and he was willing to kill Andy. And she trusted him to the end. That's how I'm going to put it, because even when he came to her house, she wasn't, alert at all. She was still free with him, still assuming that this guy was still her friend, or this guy was still a good guy. But he's already crossed that part. He literally stole your company from you. What else do you need him to do to prove to you that he's really not for you anymore? You know what I'm saying? So the fact that she was still not on her guard after everything he had done was really an F on Andy's part. And she died for it. She was not alert to the guy, and he killed her. Her twin sister is here trying to defend her and everything, but he also burned the original when Helen brought it forward, and everyone then figured out that the real Andy was dead, and this is her twin sister here trying to defend her and trying to find out who killed her sister. But I would just say that upon realizing that the real Andy was dead, all four others, there was literally no reaction, no anger, no outburst, no expression to show that their friend had died. Like, no matter what, you are, yes, you backstabbed this person and whatnot, but you knew how before the backstabbing. Like, the fact that none of them showed any remorse, none of them behaved like they even understand or they knew the person who they just claimed had died. They all just went on with their lives and moved on, and it just was really sad. Like, Andy had no one, and she kept behaving like she had people, but she had no one. None of these 5 people she had invested her positivity on, her energy on, her goodwill, her kindness on were really for her. They all used her till they got what they wanted, and they dumped her without looking twice. It's really a sad story for Andy, and also for Helen, because now her sister is dead, and just to figure out that what her sister died for, it's not even worth it. These are the people she spent her life on for over 10 years, trying to build these friendships and build this network and try to improve everybody's life. And these are the quality of people. These are the level of people you did this for. They can't even mourn your death. They can't even act angry. They can't express an outburst and show that your death touches them, like that you meant something to them. I really pitied Helen at that point, because she was, trying her best to make the most of the situation, but the detective couldn't do anything more. His job ends at him finding out who does the crime, who does the arrest, who does the punishment of the criminal. Is really up to the courts and really up to the justice system. And so he was just standing there helpless, watching Helen trying to conjure, conscience from people who obviously had none, talking to every one of the friends. You guys stand for Andy. You just saw what he did. He burnt the envelope. He burnt the original. You know that this guy is not the original owner of Alpha. You know he's not the founder of this company. You know the idea came from Andy. Say the truth, stand for the truth. And none of them cared to do anything. At a point, Benoit Blanc had to leave, because now he had called for the police. There's a dead body. He has to report what he saw as a detective and whatnot. And now there is a murderer on the scene. He has to report all that he knows as a detective to the justice system. So he left all of them in the house and went out to stand by the shore, or sit by the shore, waiting for the police boat to come. And so Helen is left alone with these people. I mean, they could have killed her, but they didn't. And she just goes ahead to start smashing everything she saw in that house with so much gusto, I have to say. Like, seeing how she was smashing everything with confidence, every other person in the group were like so energized to start smashing things themselves too. So they all joined in at some point to smash things. And she burned that house down, guys. She burned the house down. He had just gotten the Mona Lisa, the famous painting, as a flex and whatnot. He's been obsessed with the painting since, the Mona Lisa, and he had just gotten it, and it was displayed there in the parlor, area. And so after she had burnt everything else, she went for the Mona Lisa, and it was done in slow-mo, so it's really cool, the effects they did in that scene. You have to watch to see. She's running towards the Mona Lisa, and he's seeing that she's going towards it. He obviously doesn't want her to burn it down, so he's also running to try to stop her, and he doesn't succeed because she has this focused look on her face like she's going to get this job done, and the Mona Lisa does burn up, and so at the end she really is able to get some form of relief, I guess. But to me, she didn't really get justice. To me, it's still a huge loss because Andy died for nothing. She died for shitheads, as they kept saying throughout the film, pardon my French. She died for people that were not worth her effort. None of those people were worth her effort. They were not loyal, they were not friends. They were really enemies. They were wolf in sheep clothing, to be honest. And she didn't know till the end that she was alone, and that is really sad to note about this film. Just the fact that it just speaks on what are the quality of people you have around you. What kind of people are you investing your time in? Are they worth the investment? Are they worth all the effort you're putting in? Are your eyes open to see around you, to know for sure the people who you are with are still with you? Maybe they started out being with you, it's possible, but somewhere in there they've left you and you don't know because you're still looking at the past. You're still looking at how you guys were at the beginning, but to be honest, maybe you're no longer there anymore. People grow apart. People move on to other things, better things. People who used to see each other amazing stop doing that. It does happen, but are you in the present? Are you present? Are you focused and sensitive enough to figure out that shift when it happens? And Andy wasn't sensitive enough to figure out that shift. She kept, even when she found the envelope, is it not to go to your lawyers to try to figure out how you can counter sue with this evidence you have, and keep it as safe as possible till you are able to present it to a judge and say, this is my evidence of being the founder of this company. It wasn't to send it to her friends. What was she expecting them to do? Like, she didn't behave smart from top to bottom. She got an idea, she shared it with somebody, fine, she probably needed funding and he probably had the funding. But I will not share my company with you. I don't care how much you're giving me. My idea is my idea, my dear. At most, she should have had 60, he 40% of that company. And he should not be the CEO of your company or the CEO of your idea. It's your idea. Nobody knows how to run your company more than you, especially when you are still a founder who's alive. Except it's a founder who's dead, then obviously I understand it can be moved on to another hands. Or the founder wants to move on to other things and deliberately hands over that power. But from the beginning, my dear, you should be in charge of your company. You should chart the course for your company, build the foundation upon which this company would stand. You got the idea. You're the visionary for this idea. Who else can see past what you saw to have founded this company? It's just like being a mother. Like, nobody can be the best mother for your child more than you. Others can try to fill up the gap if it's a case where a mother dies, but to be honest, nobody can murder that child more than you. You carry that child for 9 months. You know that child more than anybody ever would. It's just weird for a mother to then hand over her child to somebody. I understand that there are situations where that happens. I'm not judging those situations, please. But this is for a situation where she could have done it, but she just chose to give it to Miles in this situation. So I just don't know. I feel like him being the CEO was an F. Him having equal shares with her was another F. And then because he had this two on his side, he was able to manipulate the contracts to cut her out of her own idea. And then again, when God gives you a way out as per her finding that tissue again, that was just God trying to help her to get her company back. Easy peasy. Just present that to a judge, everything is done, and this guy will be gone forever. He will never be able to recover. He will be forever the guy who tried to steal somebody's company. And she goes to her friends again instead of going to your lawyers. I really don't understand why she sent the email. The email was so unnecessary. The next thing that she should have done, even if she wanted to boast to the friends that she had found a way to destroy my house, make sure your lawyers are the first phone call you make, because they are the ones who will actually help you get the company back. They are the ones who will help you sue. They are the ones who will help you defend this in court. Present this to a judge in a way that he too will concur that yes, you are the owner of this company. So that should have been the first phone call she made when she found that tissue paper. I really don't understand why she didn't make that call. And I don't even think at that point, with everything he has done, she should be taking a meeting with him alone. He should be uncomfortable because your lawyers are there staring him in the face like the thief that he is. That she was still able to accommodate him in a house alone. Talking what? This guy just stole from you. I really don't understand why this girl was so gullible. I think that's the word. She just was gullible for no reason. It didn't make any sense why she was that gullible. And she had been given so many chances to do the right thing, but she really killed herself. That's honestly how I'm going to put it. And so with that, we've come to the end of today's movie story time and movie reviews. I guess I'm leaving you with this question. Who are your friends? Are they quality friends? Are they worth all the effort you're putting into them? When was the last time you did a reevaluation of every single person who is in your inner circle and your outer circle and your outer circle? Do a reevaluation today, my people. People are not constant. They fluctuate. Some days they are on, some days they are off. So go through the motions, do the work, be accountable, be responsible for your life. You only get one chance at living, guys. So let's do the most. Let's make the most of this chance that we have on the earth, and let's serve the purposes of God. I always say this with every video that we make. We are here to serve the purpose of God in our marriages, in our friendships, in our purpose, in our jobs, in everything that we do. And don't let anybody cut short your journey here because you were not sensitive enough to figure out that they were no longer on your side. Protect you. Protect you. You are the best protector for you. So I think that's the lesson I learned from this film. Andy didn't protect herself. She trusted others to do the job of protecting her, and every single one of them failed her. And her sister got some feel-good moments, but to me that was not justice. Yes, the guy will go to jail and lose the company, but Andy won't get it back. She's dead now. And her sister is a teacher in Alabama. She obviously can't run a company of that magnitude. So what's going to happen to Alpha? And all her friends, the relationship has a lot of stains to it now. Can she continue, if she was alive, continue on those friendships without mistrust, without the trauma coming back and being suspicious? She lost on all fronts, and this is because she chose to be gullible. There were many opportunities that came for her to open her eyes, and she refused to open her eyes. She deliberately was stubborn to trust these people till the end, and they are the ones who killed her. She didn't need an outside enemy to kill her. The very people she called friends were the ones who killed her. So yes, check up on those friends, because many times friends are the ones who kill others, not even enemies. Some people, based on the kind of friends they have, they don't need a single enemy outside. That is the truth, because their friends are their enemies. Be not one of those, my dears. Be not one of those. And the best way to do that is to reevaluate. Check again and again. Do not stop checking. Do not get tired of checking. Your life is worth that. You are valuable. You are worth the checkups. Check to be sure. You only get one chance at life. Do not miss this one chance you have. And we are truly at the end. I promise I'm not going to add to this again. And with that, we've come to the end. Want to say, for those who watched this film, comment in the comment section. Who was your best character? What was your best scene? How would you have rather the movie ended? What do you have to say about this movie? And for those who haven't watched, are you tempted enough to watch? I hope you are. This is the movie Storytime and movie review for the film Glass Onion Knives Out Mystery. Okay, so yes, it's a 2022 film and it's the second in a series of mystery films. And so yeah, this one had there was a lot of depth to the story, even though it wasn't that long or anything, but it has a lot of lessons for us as humans to learn. Yeah, it's really the real deal, and I hope you watch it. If you haven't watched it yet, just Google it and get it wherever films are gotten and whatnot. And I think, yeah, it's a Netflix film, so probably check Netflix for those who are into that. Check Netflix for this one. Yeah, so this has been another amazing episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and yes, turn on your post notifications, the bell icon as well, that way when we drop new videos and whatnot, you will be informed. In addition to our long span videos, we do have short span videos, so check those out as well. Like, share, comment as well, subscribe to the channel. Like I always say, support this brand, support your girl. We are new on this journey. Join in now, that way you can tell people forevermore that you told them so about this brand and about this girl. And I have been your YouTuber, Stephanie, and I reside in Abuja, Nigeria. And so yeah, this page is the Evergreen 1993 page and channel on YouTube. So check us out and watch our previous videos. We've filmed at least 2 other videos. Check those out and support the channel, support the works we do here, and keep being amazing. You are amazing. You are it. Perfection is literally you. Keep glorifying God in everything you do. Keep serving the purposes of humanity and keep loving on yourself. You are worth it. You deserve the love. Amen. Okay, so with that, we come to the end of this video today. Like I always say, you are amazing. God bless you. Once again, like, share, subscribe, comments, down in the comment section. I'll try to read as many comments as I can and reply to you guys. Tell me, what do you think about this one? And also our previous videos, check them out. Tell me as well in the comment sections of those videos, what do you think about the videos? And yeah, and if there are any new videos, if there are any new ideas you would like for us to do on this channel, do not hesitate to comment them in the comment section as well. We will read them through, and if it's something we're up to, we would venture into those themes and styles of videos as well. So yeah, this is the end of the love you and God bless. Bye. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of our movie reviews and movie storylines on the Evermore 1993 YouTube channel. Hope you're good, hope you're amazing. How's your week been? I hope you are glorious. Okay, so I'm Stephanie, a new YouTuber based in Abuja, Nigeria, West Africa, and this is my page. You're welcome. Today's review is going to be of the TV series called Vincenzo. Yes, it's a South Korean TV drama with 20 episodes. Yes, this one is a bit longer. Stay tuned. Welcome. How have you been? I hope you're amazing. I hope you've watched our previous videos. If you haven't, make it a date. After this video, go watch our previous videos, both our long and short span videos. Show support, like, comment, subscribe, share. Be a part of the brand. Support what we're doing here, because we are going places. Join on now, y'all. So for today's movie, like I said, it's a South Korean TV series. It has 20 episodes, guys, and it was released, I think, in the year 2020. And so it's really a drama about a dude who can shoot a gun and shoot it well. Okay? But, it takes a different angle in that, he's used to shooting guns. He's a Korean who was brought up in Italy. So he speaks the language, he's a consigliere consigliere to a very top level Italian family, top level mafia Italian family. Okay, he's their lawyer. He helps them handle deals and make sure they get what they are looking for, you know, by all means necessary, if you know what I mean. And so he's pretty good at his job, but his boss is dead now, so the film opens with him handling the last deal or the last job for his boss, who is now dead. And so he reports to this vineyard owned by another Italian family. He's having a conversation with the owner of the vineyard. You know, it seems the vineyard owner killed somebody who's a friend of his boss. That's our male lead's boss, and so they're here to like give him some kind of last chance to make up for the crime he has committed. And the guy seems very confident of his backup, like, you know, there's a different family backing him up, there's nothing they can do to him and whatnot. Unknown to him, our male lead has already hired a helicopter to fly around the vineyard and pour I don't know if it's insecticide or pesticide across all, and those leaves are not conversant or compatible with the chemicals that are being sprayed all over them. Okay, so, and I have to say that the person that they came to see was very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? He was not alert to the helicopter hovering over him. He was more focused on his meal he was eating at the time and addressing, you know, our male lead very arrogantly, I would say. And so by the time he finally figures out what this helicopter is doing, it's already too late. It's already too late. He just rejected the offer of our male lead. So our male lead is leaving, and he lights a lighter and throws it up, and you know, it's literally fire everywhere. And so he's hurrying, telling his workers to help save the situation, but it kind of is too late because his vineyard is burning up, and the person who is responsible for this, who is our male lead, is already living in his car. There's nothing he can do. From there, our male lead goes straight to the funeral of his boss, who had died, of course, pays his last respect, and has to go see the new boss, who is, you know, the son of our main boss. And so yeah, it's clear that they're not going to be friends. It's clear that they're not on the same page, because, you know, our new boss wants loyalty of our male lead, and he's not willing to give it. And so, you know, that night, our male lead gets a message, a very dangerous message from, you know, the new boss in town. He wants to kill our male lead right before the movie begins. What? Hell no. So of course our male lead was, of course, expecting this from his new boss, and so he shows the men out the way he knows how to with a gun, and sends a message right back to the new boss whilst on his way out of Italy to Korea, letting him know, you know what, I will never support you. You don't deserve to be the boss. Never contact me again, or else, you know, you'll be dead. And I saved and spared your life because I still honor your father, who happens to also be my adopted father or adoptive father. That's the only reason you're alive. You know, that's the last phone call he makes to his new boss, and he's out of Italy to Korea. Now in Korea, he has arrived, and he's greeted by something I think is probably popular there. Beware if you're going to Korea. This man pose as one poses as a security official who's trying to make sure he's not an imposter or anything, and looks through his passport at the airport. Another one poses as a limousine driver who proceeds to drive him, and unknown to him, there are bottles of water in the limousine. He takes one to drink, and he is unconscious. Apparently he was drugged, and so he's, you know, they steal all of his belongings and leave him with just enough to get on a bus to ride out. That's literally his welcome back to Korea. Yeah, it's crazy. It happened at the airport. And so he finds his way back to Korea. What is he coming to Korea to do? this is where they tell us what it is. So he is connected to this Chinese billionaire who's looking for a way to, you know, preserve his illegal funds outside of the Chinese eye. That way he doesn't have to pay tax and reveal the nature of his job and the source of his income, right? So he's looking for ways to be able to preserve this illegal fortune he has outside of China. This is where his contact brings in our male lead. Our male lead proceeds to tell him of a process that they carry out for other clients. They buy an old building in South Korea and then proceed to, you know, build an entire vault underground in that building without anybody knowing, without obtaining any construction license or permit of any kind. They build a massive underground vault that would be powered by the iris of the owner as well as his thumbprint. Okay, and also they build the vault with such a system in that anyone who tries to illegally gain access to it, the entire building will collapse and kill the person within. That is the way it's built. And so this billionaire, this Chinese billionaire, agrees for such a thing to be done for him. So they build this in Korea and they store all of his gold underground in this vault, right? And then a year or so after, this man ends up dying. And so our male lead finds out in the media that this man is dead, and what does he think? To go and take over the man's fortune in that Korean old building. So that is why our male lead is going back to Korea to take over that position. Okay, and so he's back in Korea. He has a contact, you know, the person who introduced him to the Chinese billionaire is also Korean and happens to be welcoming him back to Korea. So they go to the building, and of course, just to make sure nobody suspects anything, they rent out some of it's a shopping complex building. So they rent out some of the shops to, you know, tenants, you know, to start selling goods there. That way, to the public eye, to the layman, it's just a shopping building. No one would know that this is an entire vault with gold underground. Isn't that crazy? And so yeah, he's now at the shopping complex with, you know, his co-owner, shall I call him. And so he proceeds to introduce him to each and every one of the tenants, and boy, is it a comedy show. None of the tenants like them, none of the tenants welcome them. It's just expressions of anger all through. And really funny scenes as well. You have to watch to see. And so that's how he meets all of the tenants. And then, you know, one of the tenants happens to be a lawyer, you know, and so the lawyer is the only one who comes up to him and introduces himself and like asks him who he is and everything. And he's able to say his name, Vincenzo. And of course, he looks Korean, so why the name? And so that's where he proceeds to tell everybody that he's Italian, you know, and everything. There's a tenant there, I think this is for comedy's sake, that pretends to have studied you know, to be a chef in Italy. So instantly the other neighbors turn to him and like, oh, see, somebody from Italy, so you can talk with him. And he begins to act suspicious because obviously he's been lying to all the other tenants that he studied in Italy. You know, that's the funny part for the film, for those who would venture into watching this. And so yeah, they're trying to oppose a corporation from buying the plaza. The corporation wants to buy the plaza, you know, bulldoze it and build something else there, and the tenants do not want that to happen. The owner of the plaza, who happens to be the co-founder, you know, who arranged the whole Chinese billionaire meeting with our male lead, also opposes this move. But of course, the Korean corporation are pushing hard to see that they get the building. So the lawyer is in charge of helping them with the case to make sure that the corporation doesn't get the building. And so yeah, he hopes that he can get our male lead to join his team to make sure, you know, this corporation doesn't succeed in buying this building over. And so before we are too deep into the film, the corporation sends, you know, thugs to the house of the co-owner to threaten him into signing the contract and selling the building over to them. And so his wife and children are held hostage, so he's forced to sign the contract. And because of that, the corporation has bought the building. Now it's up to them to force the tenants to leave. They hire a completely different company that are apparently enforcers. They are there to threaten, maltreat the tenants until they are forced to leave. Apparently this is a job some companies carry out for corporations in Korea. Isn't that crazy, guys? And so yes, this team comes in and they're trying to threaten them and holding hostage the lawyer's daughter. And that's when, you know, our male lead Vincenzo shows what he's made of. You know, the lawyer with another feature or another, what should I say, an advantage in that he can fight and he can look good in the suit whilst he fights. Okay? I don't know how many people who do that, but our lead can do that. And so yeah, there's some fight scenes that are really cool to see and whatnot, and a lot of Italian spoken there and whatnot. And so just watch to find out. I'm not gonna dish it all out because I still want you to, you know, see something new when you watch this film. But it's definitely an eye candy for sure. Those who are wondering, this one is an eye candy, and this one ends well. It ends with a happily ever after, sort of. And so yes, he proceeds to try and get the building back. You know, throughout the film, it's really the corporation Babel. You know, it's called Babel, and just their ploys to see that they get whatever they want, however they want it. And just this group of tenants, the lawyers, and our male lead Vincenzo, who's really fighting as much as he can within the law, a little bit outside the law, to try and defend themselves, to see that Babel doesn't get what they're looking for, to see that they really have a hard time too whilst losing. You know, a lot of situations come up where there's a lot of talk and fight between the two teams, and we always see Vincenzo and his team come out on top most of the time, because Vincenzo has kind of dealt with the mafia, so he has a first knowledge on how to deal with ruthless people. So he brings that knowledge to bear with dealing with these people, and they really haven't met anybody who's come from the mafia, who's a consigliere to a mafia family, who's now in Korea, using all that knowledge and all that connect to see that he gets what he's looking for. You know, so they really struggle a lot with this guy. They really cannot wrap their head around him, and for major parts of the film, you see Babel crumble and really have a hard time defending themselves as the corporation they are at the face of this guy. Not to talk of the owner of Babel. Like, he pretends to be an intern lawyer at a firm whilst running it with his stepbrother at the head. Like, the film is crazy. If you see who our CEO is at first, you would not believe he's the one who's this ruthless, who's the CEO, because he's a completely different character. He seems not put together. He seems unprofessional. He seems like he doesn't even deserve the job. How did they even get him this job? But when he finally takes on the position of CEO, it's a completely different, it's a turn, you guys. It's a turn. And just to see just how much havoc that guy wreaks. There's a murder committed by him. Oh my goodness, he killed his own father, you guys. Yes, he killed his own father. That's the wreck that owns a corporation. And like, it speaks to child upbringing. Like, the parents knew this guy had mental issues. He had a problem with his anger, and instead of sorting it out, they kind of try to cover it up. You know, if he killed somebody, they would, you know, bribe the family, try to keep it under wraps, bribe the police to make sure it doesn't become a case. And his murder lust, shall I call it, kept growing to the point where he murdered his dad. His father was in a coma in the hospital, and he full-on injected this man with, you know, the chemicals he didn't need into his body at a higher dosage than he needed, and watched this man die. Okay, and if he could kill his own father, is there anybody else he wouldn't? So we see this man commit murder over and over again throughout this film, incite others to do the same, pay others to do the same, and yes, it is a whole thing, guys. So I think I really like this film in that it addressed so many different things. We get to see our male lead in so many different shapes and sizes and colors. Like, even though it's panned towards one thing, they try to cover as many grounds as possible. And of course, the main lawyer died somewhere in the film, also incited by, you know, the CEO of this bubble. He died, so his daughter takes over his law firm and tries to, you know, make sure the work he started doesn't end, make sure he didn't die for nothing, rather, you know. And so the sparks begin to fly between the daughter of this lawyer and our male lead, you know, but they don't really address it until the very end. You know, everyone just keeps, you know, taking it in, knowing that, you know what, I'm getting to like this guy, I'm getting to like this girl, but you know, there's a task ahead, there's a task in front of them that is a life and death type of thing. So there was really no time for the main part of the film to address the love story, but there were sparks flying, for those who are wondering about that. But they truly do address it at the end. I feel like the end part was just, it was made just to address the love that they both had for each other. And so for those who are wondering, there was a makeout session, yes, but mostly at the end, you know. There was even a 1 year period in which nobody could tell where our male lead was. No one knew if he was alive, he was dead, you know. And then he came back to see her and everything. He had bought an island out on his own, and he was inviting her over to come be with him there and everything. So there was a lot in the film that it addressed. It also addressed just how, you know, CEOs deal with things, and leaders in this kind of companies deal with things, and how, at least for Korea itself, like, just the power, the unchecked power a lot of these corporations have, just because they are, you know, rich and famous and whatnot. They have power over the police. They can really manipulate anything to their will. Even over the judges, they had a judge on their payroll, and really the man was just majorly there to make sure they won every court case. It's crazy. But just how Vincenzo and his team maneuver this judge to make sure he doesn't get his way is also something to watch, you guys. They frustrate this man to the point where anytime he sees them, he just knows he's in for trouble. So yes, you all have to watch this one to see how that happens. Vincenzo is a really dope film. It had a lot of rave reviews. People really loved it. And for those who are wondering, our male lead in this film is the same male lead from our first film that we covered on this page, Descendants of the Sun. So those who are wondering, this is the film he did right after Descendants of the Sun, and right after, alas, his unfortunate divorce. So yes, this is the next film he handled, and boy did he handle this one. Okay, this one was really cool. It was really a dope film. He did this correctly, and I would actually say, of my own opinion, that I felt like he was still trying to find the magic that he had created in Descendants of the Sun, which is why he took this project on. Because anyone who watched that film know that that film had magic. There was a miracle in that film. And so I feel like he was chasing that feeling, trying on a film of this magnitude that is low-key kind of similar to Descendants, okay? And so he was kind of trying to put himself right back there. He was feeling nostalgic, which I think is why he took this movie on. This might not have been the only script he got, but this is the one that appealed to him the most, because the last time he was on top of the world, he was doing something of this magnitude, and he wants to keep being on top of the world. So I kind of low-key feel like that is why he picked this project right after Descendants of the Sun. Whereas for a female lead in Descendants of the Sun, the project she picked right after Descendants of the Sun so shows she wasn't really chasing anything. She picked a different film where she was older than her lover, and she was the was fighting for her inheritance from a marriage to a rich man. You know, they were getting a divorce, and she wanted to hold on to this hotel company that she had been given. You know, they were trying to take the hotel company from her. If you've not watched Encounter, you need to watch that. So she was trying to fight to own that and to prove that she could do it. And then she fell in love with this guy who turned out to be an employee in the company, and he was like, you know, and her ex-husband, who's this rich son, is trying to win her back. You know, it was a whole thing. So that was the film she did right after Descendants of the Sun. Just to show the contrast in what they both did right after their divorce. Tells you where their both their minds and head spaces were at. She was really willing to move on from that, whilst he was pretty much still nursing the wounds and trying to indulge and try to recreate that moment as much as he could. So yes, either way, we got a great film out of it. So yeah, kudos to him. He really killed this one for sure. It was really dope and there was a lot of comedy. There are a lot of comedians in this one as well. For those who are wondering, as much as it's a movie about guns and everything, they really try to water it down or simmer it down from how serious it is with a lot of comedy. There's a lot of cracking moments. Our female lead is a comedian. Let me just say, she is just, there are no moments without this woman cracking you up. You're just wondering, how does she think? How does this come to her? She's just amazing as an actress. Makes you want to watch other of her projects to see if there's a pattern with the way she acted here, if it's a consistency with her in all of her roles. Just how she chose to interpret this character was really, really unique and refreshing and so funny to see and so lively. She was really lively. She was in this film, so you all have to watch if you haven't watched Vincenzo yet. You have to. It's definitely worth the watch. And like I said, it's a happily ever after kind of ending, even though it's more like a hinted happily ever after ending. It doesn't really show it. It more like hints that this is what happens, and then it ends. I guess a hint is more than enough for us, guys. So yes, Vincenzo is really a dope one. I would definitely recommend this to y'all to watch, and if you have watched it, then definitely let's hear about what you have to say about this one in the comment section. You know, if you do get to watch, tell us who's your favorite character, what's the best scene in this film, how would you have it rather ended, and you know, anything that you have to say about this film. If there are other ideas for videos you would like us to do on this channel, bless me, let us know in the comment section. I'll try to reply as many comments as I can. Like I always say, like, comment, share, subscribe to this channel, turn on post notifications and the bell icon, that way you know when we drop new content. Please go back and watch our previous long and short span videos and support the channel, support those videos, like, share, comment, subscribe as well. You know, support your girl. We're brand new on YouTube, so we're trying to grow this channel. Support the brand, support us. And as I always say, I'm Stephanie, a brand new YouTuber based in Abuja, Nigeria, West Africa. And on this page, we post movie reviews, movie story times, love and live chats, and so on and so forth. Support the channel. God bless you as you do so. And like I always say, you're amazing, you're blessed, you're glorious, you are it, you're perfect. So keep glorifying God with everything that you do. Keep serving the purposes of humanity, and most importantly, you guys, keep loving on you. You are important, you are perfect, you are kind, you are everything God has created you to be. You have everything you need to succeed. You are it, you are deserving, you are worthy. God bless you until we come your way again. Keep being amazing, keep staying amazing, keep being it, keep being perfect. Perfection is you. God bless you and have a beautiful week. Once again, like, share, comment, subscribe, you know, and be amazing. Support the brand, support the channel, show your girl some love, and yeah, have a blessed day and a blessed week. Hello, welcome ladies and gentlemen to another episode of our movie reviews and movie story times on the Ever More 1993 YouTube channel. I Stephanie, a new YouTuber based in Abuja, Nigeria, and our movie of review and story time today is the movie SnowDrop. It's a Korean TV series with 16 episodes. It was released in the year 2022, so come along for this ride. Welcome. How has your week been? I hope you've been amazing. I hope you've been glorious. And yes, we are here for another Korean drama. I know, give up at this point. We do Korean drama here, guys. So our film of today, you guys, it is sad one. Okay? Unlike our other ones that end happily ever after, this one doesn't. It doesn't at all. There are a few tears, a lot of tears, a lot of blood in this one. So brace yourselves if you haven't watched this. This one ends sadly. There is no Cinderella ending, no happily ever after ending. It's sad, 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 but still worth the watch somehow. So we have our male lead. He's a North Korean army man, soldier. And so we have our female lead. She's a student in a university dorm in South Korea, whilst of course our male lead is in North Korea, even though they never really show us him in North Korea except through flashbacks. But in the present, he's in South Korea. Yes. How this movie is a timepiece, meaning it's set to a certain time in the past. It's not set to the present times, it's set to the times when they were still trying to figure out and navigate the whole North and South Korea thing. So there's still a lot of rift, there's still a lot of trauma and sensitivity around South and North side people and politics and governance and whatnot. So yes, the North are trying to help the South with their political issues, and so one of the ways that they propose to get this done is for soldiers from North Korea to come in to get a particular professor who was formerly a North Korean citizen who jumped ship to South Korea as a professor in the university. To get him back to the North was their solution, and so they send this group of soldiers from North Korea with the mission to get this professor back home at all costs, right? And to work together with the South Korean people, government officials there to make sure it happens. The problem really in this film happened with South Korea. The North Koreans did their job, they did everything right. It's just the South Koreans that really did not do their part in this film. And because they didn't do their part, it led to so much bloodshed, it led to so much stress, and it ultimately made the film end sadly. Like, if they would just do their part, they're the ones who need the help, but they're the ones who still messed up the help. So yes, so for those who do not know, our female lead is the member of Blackpink, the popular Korean girl band. Her original name is Jisoo. Yes, this is her movie debut as an actress actually. So it was really popular for the wrong reasons. There was a lot of criticism about how the North and South Korean relations was portrayed in the film, and how the time in which the film was projected to be around was filmed. People didn't really agree with that. There were a lot of protests actually. A lot of people wrote into the publishing rights companies and organizations to have the film revoked and whatnot. But the film still ended up being aired. I'm not from North Korea, neither am I from South Korea, so I don't understand what the fuss is about. But I do still think the film is worth a watch, okay? So yes, Jisoo, as I said, is our female lead. She's the student in the university student in the student's dorm. Okay, yes. And so yeah, our North Korean guy, he has arrived in South Korea with his guys to try and get this professor to jump ship to North Korea. And they're kind of succeeding with him until, the police, and I guess I would call them the FBI's alternative for South Korea, the ANSP, I think that's what they're called. up within the film. They keep trying to intercept the work of these North Koreans, and that's because their boss did not brief them to stand down, okay? Because this is an operation that has been approved by the government in South Korea, not publicly, but really privately. So because of that, these guys are trying to do their job, they're trying to prove their loyalty to their country, and they keep intercepting the activities of these North Koreans to the point of shooting them. One of the North Korean guys is dead. The main lead, our male lead, is on the run, badly injured, being pursued by, officials of this South Korean FBI team and whatnot. So yes, he's on the run on foot, okay? He's injured, he's tired, he's afraid, and so he runs towards the female dorm where our female lead is housed. Okay, this is how they connect our male and our female lead together. So he runs there with the last of his strength. He's able to jump over the fence, climb over the walls, and is able to haul himself to the floor of our female lead's bedroom. Okay, follow me, very interesting. Now let me rewind back. This is not the first time our female and male lead will be meeting. Now, where our male lead was housed before he went on this mission and was almost shot to death, he lives with South Koreans pretending to be some Belgian students who just came back and whatnot. So one of the dorm guys, he just got he passed the civil service exam, and at the time, I guess civil servants were potential partners and they were deemed serious husband material and whatnot. So because of that, he had the boldness to then pursue the female he desired to be in a relationship with, and she happened to be housed at the university dorm that our female lead is at, and she's a bedmate, shall I call it, of our female lead. So they're all housed within the same bedroom, okay? The lady that this civil servant guy is willing to pursue. So he calls her up in the dorm and is like, can we go on a date? I'll bring my guys, you bring your girls, it'll be some kind of double date type of thing, and so she agrees to it. And so of course our female lead is to go with her and a few other people, 2 other ladies actually within their dorm and everything. And so the guy then elicits our male lead to be one of his guys on the date, right? This is how they first of all meet. So whilst they're on the date, they're all waiting on the girls to come in, and so this guy, our male lead, is keeping himself busy, sort of playing matches sticks and whatnot. And so as our female lead and her friends come in, somebody jacks at the table of what he's building, the matches stick mansion he's building and whatnot, and the matches sticks crumble. And I tell you, it's so timed, it's so perfect that her hands proceed to try and stop it from crumbling, as his own hands as well proceed to do the same. And so there's a hand-on-hand moment where they touch hands and everything, and then stare at each other, and of course both fall in love with each other at that moment. So on that date, they proceed to do some kind of game where they help the girls pick the guys. And so she wanted to pick him for a date, but one of the other girls was eyeing him and she rushes off to pick him, and so because of that they couldn't go on an official date. But he ends up leaving the other girl. She ends up leaving the guy she was forced to pick, and she goes to a record store and at the time, this is the vinyl playing time, that's when the film is dated back to. So, and tape, I don't know how many of y'all knew about cassette tape recorders and stuff, but at the time that was how people played music and carried music around. So she goes to this music store where you can play. Before you buy a record, you can test it out and hear what the record is about. And so she was testing out a record and singing out loud because she really liked the record, and everybody in the store was hearing her sing really badly, and the guy was as well in the store, the guy being our male lead. And so everyone is laughing as they see her dancing and singing out loud with her headphone on, and then she becomes self-conscious and figures out, oh my god, I'm singing out loud and everyone is hearing me. And then she cites the guy, and he's also laughing too because he saw her singing. And so she's embarrassed because she already likes this guy and he already likes her. So she's trying to rush off from the store, and they have a face-to-face moment where they both ask each other, okay, so why are you not on your date? Oh, I had other plans. Why are you not on your own date? Oh, me too, I had other plans. So she rushes off the store, really embarrassed that she didn't buy the record. He buys the record and pursues her outside the store and hands it to her. And so she's like, you know what, I can't collect this free of charge, and she rushes after him. As she catches up to him, that's when police guys are inspecting and, you know, interrogating some men they just found on the streets. I guess they were trying to find North Korean deserters and whatnot at the time. So they had like a list with pictures on it, and they were interrogating several men on the streets, suspecting them to be deserters from North Korea, and he happens to be North Korean, so he was scared. He runs into an alley, and she, not really suspecting what's happening around her, runs after him. And so the police guys are approaching where he is, and he tries to stop her from leaving. And if you know the etiquette of the Korean system, you can't touch a woman if you're not married to her, if you're not dating her. So he holds her hand, and she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, just stop. And so the police guys really at that very moment stop to try to interrogate him, looking at their pictures to wonder, is he the one, is he not the one? She figures out what they're trying to do and creates an entire diversion with a different story. She makes it seem like they are lovers who are fighting, and because of that the police guys move on along, and that's how she's able to save him, because she assumed he was like a rioter that is rioting and protesting against, you know, bad governance and whatnot. She assumed that because her elder brother used to do the same, so that was why she instantly wanted to protect him, not knowing that he was North Korean, right? And he doesn't explain this, of course, because he's a spy at that point. So he just thanks her, and they leave. They make a date to meet again, but obviously he won't honor that date because, you know, he has a job to do. So after that day and him standing her up, this is him falling into her bedroom all bloodied up, is the second time they are actually going to meet. And let me just tell you, in this dorm, the madam or mistress in this dorm is very strict. She does her roll call herself, going from room to room every night to make sure all the girls are in. If you're not in the dorm at a certain time, the dorm is locked and it's penalty. Okay, and here is a bloodied guy in her bedroom, and she doesn't even know yet. I know, it's really a lie. And so, you know, she comes in, she figures out he's the one. Her friends come in as well, who are also, you know, her roommates and bedmates and whatnot, and they all try to figure out a way to help this guy without, you know, the mistress of the dorm figuring it out. He's bloodied up, by the way. The walls have blood everywhere, so they have to clean up everything. Like, it's a lot. They get the guy to the bathroom. You know, the police follow him into the dorm, firing gun and gunshots everywhere, going from room to room to search to find out where he is. Look, there is a lot happening here. So so at that point, like, they are nervous, of course. They keep trying to find ways to divert from, you know, the police finding out, because they keep thinking the guy is a protester, right? They don't know he's a North Korean spy or soldier or anything. To them, they are protecting a protester, you know what I'm saying? So they go all the way, even down to taking him to the sauna and going full naked to keep him safe. He didn't see anything, for those who are wondering. It's a whole thing. But they actually succeed. They get him into a room that's not really used in the dorm, and he stays there till he recuperates. She comes by every day to feed him, to nurse his wounds. Of course, he's in love with her. Now he's getting to find out she's a nice person. Obviously, this guy is smitten with her, and so is she with him. She comes by sometimes, they sit down and, you know, chat for a bit before she goes off to class. And he himself is trying to figure out what happened to his team. He's trying to radio in the other people. It's not working. The police are mounted outside waiting for him to come out because they are convinced he's within this dorm. It's a whole thing. So the school is hosting like some kind of party for the girls where they can bring in their partner for one day and the doors will be opened. So they use that day as an avenue for him to leave the dorm without being suspected or anything, and he's able to leave only after he's giving her a necklace that is really important to him, that was given to him by his sister back in North Korea. There are flashbacks of him in North Korea with his younger sister, who is his only family member and whatnot. So, all through the film, they show you the government side of things that really were trying to get their deal done, and down to the people that they sent to get this deal done and how it wasn't matching up. With the governing guys, they are done, they are good. But when it came down to the implementation of this deal, it was falling apart majorly because South Korean leaders did not call their law enforcement agents to order. They just had no control over those guys. To the point when they gave the rule and the order, do not follow these guys, those people ignored them and still did the job. The fact that you cannot reprimand your agents is kind of an F on your part. There should be a hierarchy of power, and for it to be clear to these agents that it's not a debate. I'm not asking your opinion, I'm saying you should stand down. And because they didn't stand down, a lot of bad things went down. There was a kidnap, there was a hostage situation. The guy had to take the girl hostage and all of the girls in the dorm hostage and shoot down people and take one of the agents hostage, the most stubborn of the agents who would not hear no. He was taken hostage by theirs. And so, but in that hostage situation, which lasted for a few days, the girl and the boy got close. It was a really tricky situation in that she wants to be freed. She wants her friends to be freed, but she also kind of likes this guy. She's kind of upset at him for lying to her or not, changing her mind or correcting the impression that he was a protester. She's mad at herself for accommodating the North Korean spy. She's mad at herself for believing he was a protester, for nursing him back to health, only for him to come back to the school and kidnap Bushi and her friends. She's mad at him for a lot of reasons, but she's also kind of in love with him. He is also having a conflict on his own end. He's grateful to her for saving his life. He kind of likes her, even though he knows it cannot lead to anything based on his job. But he also has to keep himself alive and his guys. And that meant kidnapping she and her friends, and so it's a whole lot. Everyone finds out later on that she's the daughter of one of the government officials, something she had hidden from everybody in the school. Only the mistress of the dorm knew. It was revealed at some point and everything. Look, this movie is packing. For those who haven't watched SnowDrop, you guys have to watch SnowDrop. It is so freaking good. There's a lot of romance, it's a lot of not make out in the way you're thinking. It's more like hugs, attention, words, nice words of affirmation and whatnot, and loving and stuff. There's a make out session definitely, but that's a kissing session, but it's just one time. Yes, I know, disappointing, but that's all they give us within the film. An opportunity comes for them to escape. At a point, the guy, turns around to actually help them, and he died, guys. He died at the end. He died saving the girl. He died, protecting them. All of the comrades actually died except for one of theirs that left, but everybody else died, and they died doing the right thing, because at a point with the whole negotiations, the North Korean leaders abandoned the soldiers and were not willing to do whatever it took to get them back home safe. So they had to tend for themselves, they had to fend for themselves and try to stay alive on their own, and even try to renegotiate the whole contract and everything, and try to pin it on their own lives and evidences they had about the whole thing, that of course the South Koreans wouldn't want to be exposed. It was a whole mess. There was money involved. There's a lot that happened within this film. That was just crazy. So I hope for those who watched this film, this is like me reminding you of what you watched. And for those who did not watch this film, I hope this is encouraging you to go watch, because this was really good. As much as it ended badly, it was kind of cool. I'm really upset with how it ended, I will not lie, and I feel like a lot of people too who had reservations about the film had those reservations because of the ending. Many people didn't expect it to end this way. Many people were like, huh? Why is it ending like that? You know, there should have been a happily ever after moment. There were a lot of opportunities for that to happen, but they wanted a Romeo and Juliet type film where, even though the woman didn't kill herself too, it was more like only Romeo dying, but still, you know, they wanted a moment where somebody in love died as gruesomely as possible, and that happened. He was gruesomely killed in the film. That's our male lead, and he did it saving her and everything, and it was really sad. Even her own side, the South Koreans, were willing to kill her just to get the guy. You know, it also showed just how disloyal the governments were to their people, how selfish they were. It was really about them. It wasn't really about the people. It wasn't really about doing the right thing. It was more about their own personal gain. And for those who are into comedy, the two men put in charge of the South Korean government, you guys have to watch these men in action. They were just hilarious throughout this film. Two full-grown men acting babies, backing commands and confusing all of their subordinates. Nobody knew who to follow, because one comes and gives this order, everyone is trying to follow that. The other comes, screams, why are you doing that? Do this instead. You know, so it was a whole lot. And this is all the fault of the person who was in charge, the actual leader. He didn't make it clear who was in charge of this negotiation. He made it seem as if they were both in charge of the negotiations, and they both had different motives to achieve with this negotiation. So it made a lot of orders clash. Like, A will come and say something as everybody is carrying out what A says. B comes up with his own, ideas, and everyone now doesn't know who to follow. Is he A or is he B? So it was really confusing. The leadership in this film, it showed that this film, one of the lessons is, if leadership is confused, everybody is confused. Leadership has to get it right before everybody else can get it right. The leadership in this film, they were all confused. They didn't know what they were doing, and so it showed. Everyone, there was cracks everywhere. People didn't know who to follow. At some point, A is followed. At some point, B is followed. It was so confusing within the film, and people died because of the lack of leadership. It showed the importance of leadership and accurate leadership, and knowing who's in charge. Putting one person in charge and saying this is the person, and everybody knows who to go to for that, as opposed to just making it so vague and we don't even really know. That's one thing, one of the lessons I would say this film shows and depicts, for those who are wondering what the lesson of this film is. I honestly think that's the only lesson. Not that people shouldn't fall in love, because that would always happen. And I don't think it, even though her good deed ended up putting people in danger, I don't think it's discouraging people from being good to strangers who they find in need, as she was good to him when she found him in need or anything. Bearing in mind that her good deed put them in a lot of problems, and her love life affected a lot of people. Yeah, but I just think we should focus on the fact that leadership messed up and screwed everything up, because if they got their orders right, that love story at the end of the day probably would have ended badly, in that they will not be able to see each other again because of his job. But then he wouldn't have had to take anyone hostage. Nobody would have had to fire a single gun or died or anything like that. He would have been alive, going on with his mission, sad and heartbroken, and she would be back in school, sad and heartbroken, and they'll all move on with their lives. But at the end of the day, she's now the only one left with a deeper heartbreak, because now she's traumatized by his death, feeling guilty, and she's still in love, because he left her a tape explaining how in love with her he is, and how he wished they had met under different circumstances and whatnot. And so I feel like they made things worse for this young child. Like, and the fact that everybody still came back to that school after everything that had happened in that place is mind-blowing to me. Like, parents were okay to send their children back to that school after your child, your female daughter, was held hostage by 2 grown men or 3 grown North Korean spies. Why would I send my child back to that school? But everybody returned back to the school the next semester, acting all normal and happy, and I'm like, what? This only happens in North Korean TV series, by the way. I would never send my child back to a school where something like that happened. The trauma of it all, everything, just to leave, and nah, it's not happening. She's out of there. But everyone returned back to that school in the film, and everyone moved on. Yeah, almost like nothing ever. If you were not in that school before then, you would not have believed anything happened because they cleaned up everywhere, everything was nice. But you know, somebody had died there. There was a lot of trauma, a lot of fear, you know, in that scene and everything. So yeah, the film was mostly filmed within the school, with just few scenes outside showing just the confusion of what was the leadership of the whole mission, pretty much. You know, many of the, like for the North Korean leaders, they were all the way in China, so they had to film them in some kind of hotel doing the negotiations. For the leaders of the South Korean team, they were spread abroad, so they had to show them in different angles and whatnot. And just, my goodness, it was wild. Not to talk of the wives of the leaders of the South Korean team. They have their own, you know, group and whatnot. It was just a lot, and all of them fighting for dominance of the group. Yeah, it's a whole lot, you know. So I just hope I've been able to convince you, despite the sad ending, to watch this one. The love is worth watching. Yes, the love that blossomed between these two, the impossible love, because whether the leaders got this wrong or right, they would still not have been able to see each other. He had a job, an entire job that made it so impossible to be with this woman. You know, he's a North Korean, active North Korean soldier and spy who goes around the world, from Belgium to Germany to everywhere, carrying out missions for his country, and he's very loyal to his country. It was hard for him to believe that his country will abandon him till the end, you know, when he then had to fend for himself and his team, you know. So he's really committed to his country, and his younger sister lives there, and you know, if he doesn't do right by a mission, she's in danger. So there was a lot of reasons for him to not want to venture into this love story. Whereas for her, I mean, she's set on her own end to do as she pleased, you know, with the love and everything. But either way, you know, the movie ended badly, guys. I cannot even stress that enough. I cannot tell you how disappointed I was at the ending of this film. I definitely shed some tears, for those who are wondering. Yes, I cried. It was really sad. It was unnecessarily sad. Like, they really showed him no respect, no value. They killed him like he was a traitor when he was a hero, you know. It's really sad. It's really, really sad. And how they killed his comrades as well was really sad as well. It really ended sadly, guys. So yeah, I think I'm gonna end it here today. Tell me, what's your best character, your best scene? How would you rather it ended? Me, I would rather that ended happily ever after. I'm all for the Cinderella ending, my guys. I'm all for a love that seems impossible, but they find a way to make it possible. But that was not the case for this film, guys. So tell me, do you share my sentiments that it should have ended better than it did, or do you agree with the scriptwriters on how this ended? Let me hear all of your suggestions and your opinions in the comment section. Comment, like, share, subscribe to this channel. I hope you loved today's review. Tell me in the comment sections what you think. If there are any other ideas you would like us to try on this channel, let us know in the comment section. I'll try as much as I can to respond to as many comments as I can in the comment section. Once again, I am Stephanie. I am a new YouTuber based in Abuja, Nigeria. I post movie story times, movie reviews, love, live chats, and so on and so forth. And if you're new to the channel, check out our previous videos. We filmed some videos posted them on the channel. Check out both the long span and the short span videos. Like, share, comment, subscribe on to the page and all those contents we have put out for you. And stay tuned, support the brand, show your girl love. We're going places. Join on the brand as early as you can, which is now, guys. And then we'll see you again on our next review on our next content. Hope you enjoyed today's review. Like I always say, you are amazing, you're blessed, you're perfect, you deserve love, you are it. So glorify God in your life, in your body. Glorify God in all that you do. Serve the purposes of humanity, and most importantly, love on yourself, because you are deserving of love. You are amazing, you are perfect, you are it. God bless you. Share, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Like I always say, stay tuned for our next one. You are blessed. Have a lovely week. Have a lovely day. And yes, that's the end. God bless y'all.